Hello friends, this is your friend back with a new fanfic. What if Naruto was trained by Kurenai after Kakashi refused to train him? If you like this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's start. Chapter 1. What's with that woman? Title: A Fishcakes Affair. That means that Madara doesn't control the Kyuubi but they do know each other. Hashirima's Mokuton can still calm demons, that's if they want to be. So the following events didn't happen. Madara didn't have the ability to summon the Kyuubi no Yoko in his fight against the Shodai Hokage. Mito Uzumaki did not become the first Kyuubi Jinchuriki, and result Kushina didn't become the second Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Naruto is the first Kyuubi Jinchuriki as Kyuubi attacked for another reason that will be explained throughout this story. Beside, I believe that if Naruto is the first Kyuubi Jinchuriki, their relationship will be better to write. So Kushina wasn't the one that released the Kyuubi, but she and Minato sacrificed their lives to seal it into Naruto using the Shiki Fujin, the dead demon consuming seal, a seal created by the Uzumaki clan. P.S. What is said in this FIC will be purely fantasy based. Italics means the person is thinking. Bold as a demon or god talking. Enjoy. What's with that woman? It's a beautiful day, the sun's shining, birds are flocking, and people can be seen together in harmony as some couples are holding hands or kissing in public. Yes, it's a beautiful day indeed. The sounds of birds can be seen flying right next to an open window without a care in the world. The curtains can be seen flying open due to the gusty winds. What lays behind this window, you may think? Well, right next to the window laid a golden-haired whiskered boy, or a man he would like to be preferred. Well, while this man laid on the bed, one would expect he would be serene in this calm beautiful morning. But the man looked anything but calm, as he looked petrified while being frozen stiff, because if he moved even once he will be in a world of pain. Yes, he will experience hell. The reason why he is in such frightened mood was because next to him on his chest laid a very beautiful long crimson-haired woman. She had light chocolate skin, looking like she loved the outdoors. Her eyes, however, were closed, showing her calm tranquility look of peace as she laid there sleeping. She shifted closer to him, making her ample be squeezed on the boy's sorry man's surprisingly well-defined chest. One thing for sure is that under those covers is that the woman is naked, wearing panties, of course. The man blushed furiously as he felt the woman's hard nipple. The woman carried on moving, making the man's body her new teddy bear as the man felt up her perfect figure. Back to the subject at hand, what made the boy scared? However, we will find out on the next episode of Dragon Ball. Sorry, got out of hand there. Ding dong, the doorbell rang, making the man all of sudden sweat in fear. He looked at the woman lying next to him. She was still asleep. He sighed in relief, so he waited until she loosened her hold and substituted himself with a couple of pillows, sneaked quietly out of the room and ran to the door like his life depended on it. The man was not wearing any shirt, only his trousers, as he was barefooted. He opened the door and checked who it was. It was the Sandaime Hokage, and he wasn't pleased. He had a look of disappointment. The man looked curiously at him and the old man, making him sigh. Naruto, I let things slide a lot of times with you, right? Said the old man to the man identified as Naruto, who nodded, remembering what his Gigi done for him. Naruto, well, you would expect he is the same Naruto we all know, but no, he is anything but the loud, brash, orange-loving boy. He is different because the loneliness and abuse he suffered as a child made him into one thing parents feared worse for their child would be, and that is a delinquent. Hey, don't call me that, you bastard. Naruto. Sorry, old man, talking to myself here. Hey, laughed Naruto lightly, who scratched the back of his head comically, making the old man twitch in irritation as he sighed again. Boy, this kid makes him do that a lot. Naruto, why didn't you come to the after-graduation meeting to meet your Junin sensei? Said Sarutobi to the boy he views as a grandson. Naruto looked around to see if a certain someone is awake as he responded apologetically. Old man, I couldn't make it, I was busy, sorry, while he scratched the back of his head. Naruto, you're a genin now, you should listen to your Hokage in whatever he says, said Sarutobi, showing his authority. Naruto just looked at him ludicrously, basically a WTF look, as he thought that if the woman in his bed told him to jump and the old man ordered him to stay put, you know what he will choose. But still, I will answer it for you. He will most certainly jump. Now Naruto, get your clothes and follow me to meet your new sensei, gestured the old man, but Naruto stood still, ignoring the old man, making said old man ask him again. Come on now, hurry. Naruto still stood where he was. Naruto, do I have to tell you twice? Said the old man, getting annoyed as something interrupted them. Naruto, come back to bed, said the most beautiful whining tone voice the old man ever heard of as he blushed at what he saw. He saw the most good-looking, gorgeous, dazzling crimson-haired woman as she wiped her closed eyes due to just waking up. She held the gray blanket to cover her visage and her well-defined chest. So the old man too froze as he looked at Naruto, who turned around and then blushed, so the old man added 2 and 2 together. His nose bled. He then smiled a perverted smile and grabbed Naruto's shoulders and said the 4 words he never said to Naruto, ever. Well done, my boy, and then the old man walked off. No, he actually skipped off. A horrible sight to see, an old man skipping, especially the Hokage no less. Skeptical smiley face, huh? Naruto looked on and then all of a sudden his eyes went wide in shock as he ran to the old man, not caring that he is typically half. Old man, wait. The old man ignored as he skipped on, but he stopped and turned around and gave Naruto the most perverted old man look he ever seen. He shivered. The old man gave him 2 thumbs up at the stunned Naruto, then disappeared before Naruto screamed one final thing as held his right hand up helplessly. She is not even a woman. ... Everyone in the streets who heard him looked at Naruto in disgust and speechless, thinking that the demon brat batted for the other team. They shuddered at such thought. Their question was answered, however, as they saw the most beautiful woman on earth grabbing hold of the brat, putting his head in her blanket coverage as she said one thing that made all the males in the area jealous of the demon brat and questioned their wives or girlfriends. The bed is cold without you, let's get you warmed up, cooed the woman in the most angelic voice in the boy's ears as she possessed the most amazing ruby eyes, more so than that of the eyes of the genjutsu specialist Junin. Her name is Kur something. Yes, Yuhi Kurenai. The street went quiet as everyone was flabbergasted at what they saw. One man even screamed, "Are you gay?" Naruto cried comically while in the hold of the woman as the woman smiled a wicked smile. Back inside, Naruto was getting dressed furiously as he wanted to get the hell out of here, rummaging through his closet. Going somewhere, said a serious voice behind Naruto as he turned around, looking at the woman from earlier leaning on the wall. She was wearing black tights, which shows her voluptuous figure. Naruto looked up and down at her figure, making her smirk as he suddenly took out a jacket, went to her and put it on for her. She looked incredulously at him, surprised at what he did. "Wear something for God's sakes," said Naruto, irritated, who then found his clothes and tried to usher her out, but she still didn't budge. Excuse me, but I'm trying to dress," said Naruto quietly to her as she suddenly smiled when she walked closer to him. Her head went his ears and she whispered, "I have seen your body countless times," said the woman as she caressed his face, looking at him lust her eyes, "and yet I can't seem to get enough." She then all of a sudden licked his ear's lobe as she breathed in his ear. Naruto wished there and then he could die. He then took out the closest clothes he could find and ran off. Not knowing that he took his horrendous orange jumpsuit. Women as evil as her can make a man do things you wouldn't dream of. Naruto is proof of that. Naruto looked at the clothes he took and sighed as he took the clothes he should have thrown away ages ago. What's with that woman, thought the now orange-wearing blonde. He then suddenly remembered when this woman came to his life. As looked up questionably at the wall and started reminiscing, you know, like what JD does in Scrubs. 1 year ago at the academy. Ding ding dong ding, the academy bell rang as the final year of their ninja career began. Everyone gathered round in the classroom listening to Iruka's boring lectures. Iruka's lectures was so boring that he was starting to fall asleep. Naruto heard the speaking voice of Iruka slowly becoming just small Neos as he started to sleep. "Arg," yawned Naruto as he welcomed sleep. Naruto all of a sudden woke up in an empty classroom. He looked around and then came to a conclusion. "The class is over," sighed Naruto. "Someone should have at least waked me up." "It's rude," said Naruto tiredly, yawning. "Oh, the class is not over yet, Naru-kun," said a melodic voice. This startled Naruto. He looked at the direction of the voice. Right on Iruka's table at front of the chalkboard sat a very fine-looking woman. She had crimson hair that shone just like his golden hair. She stood up, showing him her rear end. Man, that stood out just like her. What's with this woman? Her rear stood in a perfect angle that caused his tool to slowly grow as she wore a navy blue jeans that made the rear end stuck out even more. His tool still grew. Stop it, thought Naruto as he still looked at her, his eyes glued on her navy blue jacket, which was buttoned up with small white buttons that went along her chest and stomach, making her seem like a perfect business woman, showing how confined her was because it looked ready to pop out any second. His tool was growing at a fast rate now. She also wore glasses covering her striking crimson eyes. Is this a dream? No woman can look like that. Shit. Someone please wake me up. There was one smoking hot lady. Naruto's tool succeeded to grow upright, going hard right there. Luckily she didn't notice because he was sitting down and his tool was under the table begging to get out of his confinement. Naruto. Naruto, my dear Naruto, sang the lady as she made the boy woozy at her melodic voice like she was a siren there to tempt him. She walked towards him, making her rear and bosom bounce and sway. Naruto mentally screamed for her to stay put and stop tormenting him as she came to his table and sat down right in front of him, pulling out a report card. God, she smelled so good. What's the meaning of this, Naruto? Scowled the woman as she looked even hotter when she was angry. Naruto groaned as he put his head down. A finger pulled up his chin up, making Naruto look at her. You better explain yourself, mister. Her legs swung as she sat on Naruto's table while her arms wrapped into a pretzel-shaped knot, resting just beneath her large kegs, which instinctively made them more pronounced. This woman hated to wait. Naruto looked sad, making his eyes downcast. He looked so cute to the woman. My report card, said Naruto quietly. Yes, your report card. Now do you know what it entails? Said the red-haired lady, adjusting her glasses. No ma'am, but I know what to expect. Naruto looked broken, wanting to die in a corner somewhere. The lady's eyes looked sad for a second but went back to what she was saying. Yes, Naruto, they are all F's. If you keep this up you will fail. Do you want to retake for the fourth time? Cause there isn't a fourth time, scolded the lady with the glasses. I'm trying, miss, I am. No matter what I do I keep getting the same grades, said a dejected Naruto as he for the first time almost went to tears. The woman's light chocolate hand grabbed the boy's face, making him look at her as she suddenly caressed his face. She then went close to his face as she whispered, keep trying and don't give up, and if you graduate I will give you a reward, said the woman huskily, making Naruto blush. What kind of reward, and why give it to me of all people? Screamed out Naruto, slowly getting angry. How dare this lady think she can help him? Naruto never needed no one and he won't start now. Suddenly the lady bit his ear, making Naruto moan loud. Naruto-kun, I know you more than anyone. You look at me and see if I'm lying, said the lady. Naruto looked and saw no hint of deception and then suddenly gulped as the woman started playing with his hair. You asked what your reward is, let me give you a taste, said the lady sweetly. She then asked him to stand up. Naruto looked at her and said he can't. The lady asked again, this time ordering him to stand up, making Naruto sweat frantically. I can't ma'am, my legs are tired, said Naruto, remarkably not stuttering as he tried to make an excuse, desperately trying to get rid of his hard tool in between his legs. He looked down and then looked up. The lady wasn't there as he suddenly felt someone's hand shoot at his confined tools. Naruto moaned. He looked at the hand rubbing his tool and was surprised that it belonged to the lady as she sat next to him. She smiled when she rubbed his tool, slowly teasing him, looking at him lustfully. Is this the cause for your legs, Naruto-kun? Cooed the lady as she put her hands under Naruto's trousers, measuring him up. Her eyes took a gleeful turn, making Naruto not know why she looked happy. You're a big boy, Naruto. A very big boy, the lady suddenly giggled as she started working his tool with her hands, moving his tool up and down over and over again. Naruto moaned again and again. What are you doing? Stop. The lady kept giggling as she then bended over as she said, I'm giving you a taste of your future reward, baby. She took his tool in her salivated mouth and Naruto moaned loud as when he saw he red feverishly eyes. He busted right there. Naruto, wake up, screamed Uruka, making Naruto quickly wake straight up. He was drooling as he looked around and tried to stand up but felt his wet pants. Man, you were moaning, never knew you could do that. Ahahaha, Kiba laughed as the class laughed right at him. Except for Hinata and surprisingly Ino, who blushed. Naruto groaned as he looked at his pants, which in result made his trousers wet. One thing Naruto was glad for sure was that his trousers were black. Thank God for that. When it was home time, Naruto ran straight home, much to Iruka's surprise. As straightaway he took a shower. After the shower he had dinner and then started turning on the television as he sat down to watch Kazuhana Koyuki, who stood in a beach wearing an all-black bikini performing an advert about a deodorant. Television. Now guys, make sure you take on the all strong deodorant is when a man who is strong won't be wrong. Hey 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 hey, giggled Yukie as then the advert switched, telling people where to get the deodorant. You know, the stores available, etc. Man, this chick's untouchable, said Naruto out loud as he then turned off the television. Thinking about Yukie made him think about a certain crimson-haired woman. What was that dream? Who was that woman? Thought Naruto as he started to get into his shorts. He liked to sleep with his shorts on. Naruto closed his eyes. All he thought was the beautiful woman. In the next morning, Naruto woke up thinking why he didn't dream of her again. He then went to the ramen stand before going to do academy. He met Ayame and Tyuki as they greeted their favorite customer. What you ordering today, Naruto? Said Tyuki to the boy he considered as a son and favorite customer. 2 bowls of beef ramen. Tyuki-san, said Naruto, who was in long thought. Ayame came from the back while Tyuki went back in to get the boy his orders. She noticed Naruto's mood. How are you, Naruto-kun? Asked Ayame curiously. Naruto ignored her however as she then asked him again while she waved at him. Sorry, Ayame was thinking of something, said Naruto, who then looked delighted at his meal in the table. Ayame then put her elbow on the table as she put her chin on her hand as she amusingly said, then you better explain yourself, mister. Naruto had his eyes go wide as he recollected on his dream yesterday. What's the meaning of this, Naruto? Scowled the woman as she looked even hotter when she was angry. Naruto groaned as he put his head down. A finger pulled up his chin up, making Naruto look at her. You better explain yourself, mister. Her legs swung as she sat on Naruto's table while her arms wrapped into a pretzel-shaped knot, resting just beneath her large kegs, which instinctively made them more pronounced. This woman hated to wait as her crimson eyes glowed zealously. Naruto, hello, screamed Ayame, getting annoyed at Naruto, who shook his head as he suddenly stood up, shocking the poor waitress. Sorry, Ayame, gotta go, screamed Naruto, and off he went, leaving change that is more than enough in an unfinished ramen. Good luck, Naruto-kun, screamed Ayame, who sighed as she smiled and shook her head. Sigh. Naruto-kun, you silly boy, thought the girl as she smiled, blushing, and then went back to work. In the academy. Back in the academy, Iruka can be seen in a deep session as surprisingly everyone is listening intently. Now in the second shinobi war, the Sanins were named when they were defeated by Hanzo. Sensei, can I go to the bathroom? Yawned Naruto, who put his hands up. Iruka sighed, allowing Naruto to go. TCH, who wants to learn about people getting their kicked anyway, said Naruto, who walked towards the toilet, yawning again. So Naruto did his business in the toilets, then went to wash his hands. He then started walking towards his class when he bumped into someone who had a stack of papers. Sorry, let me get that, said Naruto, trying to help the person he accidentally bumped into as suddenly a hand shoot out to stop him. A hand he knew too well. Naruto looked up and he saw the woman that was on his mind all night. She smiled right at him. You starting coming to class much earlier, Naruto-kun? Working hard, I see, giggled the crimson lady as she saw the dumbfounded look of Naruto. Why? Yo, you, screamed Naruto, panicky as all of a sudden the lady pushed him into the female toilets as Naruto hurried. What are you doing? Said a scared Naruto, getting afraid that he will be beaten up by the girls for being in here. Don't worry, no one will come. You. The lady started walking towards Naruto, who started to back away, and every step getting closer to Naruto. Need to talk, said the voluptuous woman, poking his chest sensually as Naruto backed up to the closed toilet door. What do you want from me? Screamed Naruto, frightened, looking for a way out. The woman giggled, making Naruto jumpy as her giggles will haunt his dreams for years to come. It unbecoming for Tornado Naruto to be a scared like little rabbit, smirked the woman as Naruto saw fangs coming out of her lips. What fangs? Naruto shook his head in disbelief, looking at the lady again, this time not seeing the fangs, making him sigh in relief. Thought I was seeing things, thought the young blonde, not noticing the sinister smirk from the crimson-haired lady. She then went close to him now that the boy has nowhere to go and started to speak sensually. Now Naruto, we didn't get to finish off last time, making the mystery woman lick his face so that the boy won't ask any questions. Naruto blushed furiously as he moaned loudly, forgetting that he had any questions. The woman carried on with her ministration as she started to unzip his black jacket and then went under his white t-shirt. They carried on, lust enveloping both of them as Naruto opened the toilet door behind him as they both went inside. The woman pushed Naruto on the toilet seat, making him grunt as he fell. She then sat on his lap with her back turned and grinded her hips, making Naruto moan out loud. His tool started to grow as it started to poke the woman's thighs. She smirked and turned around, suddenly kissing him, making Naruto go wide in shock as she forced her tongue to enter his mouth and entwined her tongue with his. Their tongues played for a while as all you can see was saliva being exchanged, but suddenly Naruto's hands moved towards her, making her eyes gleefully go wide as they look ready to right there. Yes, that's it, let the lust control you, but the unexpected came suddenly. Naruto stopped. He stopped. This made the woman go into shock. No one could stop a woman like her when she is doing this to man. No one. Well, Naruto wasn't like all people as he looked flushed and was huffing while he looked at the striking woman laying on him. What and who are you? Said Naruto, questioning the woman before him. She ignored him however and tried to carry on, but Naruto surprisingly put his foot down as he suddenly pushed her off him and out of the toilet door. This shocked the woman greatly. No one rejected her, no one. Naruto, being Naruto, who is an oblivious idiot who didn't know what he was missing out on, stood up and tidied himself up. He looked at her accusingly at the shaken woman before him, knowing he is going to regret it. Hey lady, now you listen here. You will leave me alone and stop coming after me, you crazy lady. The woman stood up, eyes downcast as the bangs in front of her hair covered her face. She looked pissed. Red chakra can be seen coming out of her. What red chakra? This made Naruto's eyes go wide as he was overwhelmed. You dare reject me, reject this, the woman silently spoke, shaking her body, hypnotizing the poor boy as he shook out his euphoria. This made her even angrier. When I'm done with you, you will beg for my attention, spoke the woman. However, Naruto interrupted as he kept digging his own grave. Uzumaki, Naruto never backs down, screamed Naruto. All of a sudden he felt the air turn cold. The woman smiled a very cold smirk, making the boy shiver. She took off her glasses as she suddenly laughed. She laughed. Naruto was dumbfounded as he suddenly laughed with her, thus they laughed together. As suddenly killer intent thundered the whole toilet as the room shook. You will pay for your insolence, screamed the woman in a demon-like voice, showing her fangs while her eyes glowed red, making her look like the devil ready to smite him. Naruto did what any man would do, he screamed like girl. Then he fainted. Thud. Ah! Woke a dazed Naruto who shook his head. He realized where he was and was greatly embarrassed. Naruto was still sitting on the toilet seat. So he quickly finished up and ran off home, forgetting about class. Not knowing the complications of his actions. 1 week later at the academy. Naruto looked angry. No, he looked downright pissed as he looked like a man that suffered nightmares and had sandbags under his eyes. People looked afraid as they were making way for him because this whole week he was on a rampage. No, like a tornado. He was pondering on what happened this past week, making him angrier and angrier. As he went past the academy training ground, he saw the PNLY person he didn't want to meet waiting for him at the gates. Uchiha Sasuke, with people surrounding him, i.e. his fangirls. Naruto sighed, knowing what he wanted. And then smirked, a cruelly similar to a certain red-haired vixen. Time to lose some stress, muttered Naruto, cracking his neck. There was a crowd covering the training ground as two people looked ready to fight, much to the enjoyment of the crowd. Sasuke-kun beat that baka, screeched the Sakura. Surprisingly no one minded but one person as she and Ino looked to rekindle their friendship for now. A certain blonde-haired youth glared at her with narrowed blue eyes, promising pain. Sakura shut up right there and then. Is Sasuke trying on Naruto? Doesn't he ever give up? Said Kiba with Akamaru, who barked in agreement. Troublesome, it's Naruto we are talking about. For some reason he is the lowest in the class. One think that's why Sasuke is refusing to believe the dope is stronger than him. Said a tired-looking Shikamaru. Chump, he is chump known as Chump Tornado Naruto, said an eating Choji. Yeah, shudders Kiba all of sudden, he is one dude I don't want to meet in the dark alleyways. Kiba remembers when he called Naruto a doby, remembering the first day of the academy he wanted to make his mark when he started to pick on Naruto. All he saw was cold scary blue eyes, and suddenly his sister pulled him out of the trash can. A trash can? Can you believe that? What kind of brute beats up a guy and puts him in a trash can? You might as well kill him and save him the embarrassment. His mum found out about this and instead of helping her son like any mother would do, she laughed at him. All she said is this. Brat, from what you told me he is a future alpha, a scary alpha but an alpha. So if you want to get revenge then beat him and take his place, laughed Tsume knowing Kiba will never do that as he shuddered in fear. Kiba never called Naruto a dobi ever again since that day. Kiba-kun, the fight is starting, should we stop it? Said a stuttering Hinata who poked her hands together showing everyone she is really Hinata. And risk getting involved? Hell no, said Kiba as Shino nodded in agreement as he didn't need to say a word. They all looked on. Hinata looked down struck as she thought about Naruto. Well, Hinata has a huge crush on Naruto as everyone questioned her to why she has a crush on that dangerous delinquent. Simple as. Hinata saw Naruto's sweet side. Flashback. Hinata looked at Naruto in class asleep making Iruka scream at him thus waking him up. Everyone looked on in amusement to see the dobi getting punished. It was time for lunch as the academy then decided to close after. Hinata was sitting in the classroom table deciding to eat her lunch here and then go home. She saw Naruto clean up and then leave but he suddenly dropped his wallet. Hinata being the good Samaritan picked up the wallet and then ran after him. He wasn't in the academy as she couldn't believe how fast he was, he just left a second ago. She then looked at the window and saw him walking out of the gate with his hands in his pockets. Him wearing a black jacket wasn't hard to spot. She ran outside and then saw something she couldn't believe. A brown-haired kid was struggling to get his money into the drink machine. He tried and desperately tried and was about to cry, then a shadow covered the kid as he then looked up. He saw Naruto who went on his knees so he could be able to look at the kid in the eye and smiled. Hey there kid, what's wrong? Said Naruto who surprisingly smiled a kind smile shocking Hinata greatly. The kid looked up not trying to cry. I can't get money in machine mister, I want drink, stuttered out the kid trying to control himself. Naruto shuffled the kid's hair and told him he has a secret move that will let him get his drink. The kid brightened up and asked him to show him. So all of a sudden Naruto lifted the kid up by which he gleefully enjoyed and then suddenly the kid found out he can put the money in the machine. He looked at Naruto happily making said boy smile. So the kid put the money in the machine and pressed the button to get his drink. Naruto put the kid down and gave a thumbs up as the kid too replied with a thumbs up. Thank you mister, said the kid looking at Naruto, his new hero from now on. Don't mention it kid, said Naruto who walked away when the kid's mum ran to the kid. Keisuke, are you alright? I was worried sick, said the kid's mum. The kid looked at his mum and smiled which startled his mum as she never saw her son smile like that. It's okay mama, I just met my new hero. Hinata's eyes went wide as Naruto walked right past her taking this as an opportunity. She told him that he lost his wallet and that she found it. She was again surprised because Naruto suddenly smiled a kind smile making her blush. Thanks Hinata. He then took it and gave her a pat in the back as he walked away not before saying something that made her get her first crush. I like women like you, I will never forget this. Then Naruto walked away leaving a blushing Hinata behind. He likes me. Likes me. Hinata fainted for the first time ever. End of flashback. Hinata looked at the fight with a blush as she thought of him ever since that day. HRN Dobi, you will lose to me as taijutsu is all you're good at, said the smirking Uchiha Sasuke arrogantly looking at Naruto like he is better than him. Is that so? Sighed Naruto. All of a sudden he has one fight with Kiba and then everyone calls him a delinquent. When I fight back to the people that call me a demon they label me something I'm not. For crying out loud, this is a ninja village, I don't think the word delinquent doesn't mean squat around here. Thought Naruto who sighed again. Sasuke in his intercepting fist style and Uchiha fighting style charged at Naruto thinking Naruto left an opening. He aimed a punch at Naruto's face thinking it was about to connect much to the crowd's glee but Naruto dodged as he ducked and then grabbed a fist full of sand unknowingly to Sasuke and threw at his eyes. Arg! Screamed Sasuke tending to his eyes as he fell onto his knees and then got an uppercut effectively knocking him out. The crowd in horror screamed in anger. Damn, he fights dirty, woof. He hurt Sasuke-kun's eyes. Now he can never get his Sharingan, delusional much. Naruto baka, you cheater, screamed both Ino and Sakura as their combined voice can be heard miles away. What's happening? Screamed Mizuki with Iruka. Naruto seeing them turned around and ran without turning back. Naruto baka hurt Sasuke-kun, screeched Sakura with Ino nodding in agreement while Kiba winced in horror due to him being the closest. So where is he now? Said Mizuki looking for the demon brat, but he is nowhere to be seen. He ran off, screamed an angry Ino as Naruto's disappearance surprised everyone. As night was beginning to descend in at Naruto's department, Naruto-kun in his shorts seen looking at his bathroom mirror. He looked focused, however, as he looked at the reflection of himself. For some reason today was the day of reckoning in his opinion. I have a feeling she will appear today. I just know it, said Naruto, who then turned on the shower. It was a cold shower for him today. For some reason it suited him just fine. As the shower was washing up his figure, Naruto stood there frozen as he put his right hand on the wall. Naruto, you can do this, don't break your promise this time, thought Naruto while his eyes was closed. He finished up and then prepared for bed, but before that it was time to listen to one of his favorite songs. As he leaned on the side of the wall of his bed under the window, as the moonlight was his only source of comfort and light, he put on his headphones and started listening to the song he can definitely relate to. He was doing anything not to go to sleep, so he sang along in really good voice. Bon Jovi, It's My Life. This ain't a song for the broken-hearted. No silent prayer for the faith departed. I ain't gonna be just a face in the crowd. You're gonna hear my voice when I shout it out loud. Chorus. It's my life. It's now or never. I ain't gonna live forever. I just want to live while I'm alive. It's my life. My heart is like an open highway. Like Frankie said, I did it my way. I just wanna live while I'm alive. It's my life. Naruto's eyes all of a sudden felt blurry as he tried to stay awake no matter what, but it seemed fate didn't allow it. He was going back to the lands of dreams. As Naruto fell asleep, as he suddenly felt someone on top of him, he looked and closed his eyes straight away. Shit, she is finally here again, thought Naruto as the red-haired woman smiled and then roamed her hands under his t-shirt and started massaging his chest. My how firm, you must train a lot, koi, said the woman as Naruto still closed his eyes, wanting this nightmare to go away. This happens all the time now. Ever since that incident, Naruto didn't sleep, and when he did sleep nothing happened, and when let his guard down the woman came in his dreams and repeatedly tried to rape him. She's like Freddy Krueger but hell of a lot sexier and scarier. The woman leaned closer to his face while Naruto leaned desperately away, trying to not open my eyes, as this was a battle of wills. Naruto got ready for what was to come. Naruto's paw. The woman came and won the last 2 times. As the first time she started licking me all over, I was stupid then because I watched perversely as she moaned my name. Who could blame me, a vixen like her, saying my name over and over again while licking my face, hands, and hell even my feet, giving me looks that promised bliss. So I did what an ordinary man would do. I busted there and then, not noticing the scary smirk the woman had, so when I woke up my sheets and pants was wet. I felt utterly embarrassed, as I never felt like this before. Yes, I watched porn like any teenager, but she beat any porn stars hands down. So I promised to myself that I will never be this weak again. So the next time we met in my dreams, I will be a hell of a lot stronger and things will be different. But one mistake I always did was that I kept looking at her. Even though I was stronger, as she even complimented me for that. She did something surprising for our second meeting. Heck, what she did could have made Freddy Krueger run in terror. She grew tails, 9 tails in fact, as whisker marks like mine came from her light chocolate cheeks. I was flabbergasted as I was astounded. Then she did another thing that made me lose my mind there and then, even though I promised I will try harder. No, Uzumaki Naruto will never admit that I broke. Any guy would break in seconds to what she did. What she did was that she slowly undressed me using her tails to hold him tight. I was greatly scared, thinking I was going to get raped, although I will never say that because any man would kill to be in my situation. Okay, back to the story. She first undressed as she brought out my erect tool to play. She then whistled, saying that she is always aroused and amazed every time she sees it, as she then blew air on my tool, making me moan out loud. She then giggled, saying she likes the way I scream. So she did something unexpected. She sat down, opened her legs for me to see her wet area, brought out one of her tails and wrapped it around my tool. Damn, it was so soft. I then moaned when she ministered me, as she too masturbated herself, putting fingers inside her as she moaned while her tails ministered me while I moaned. She said a lot of dirty things like how she loves drive her virgin into my long tool. My eyes widen in disbelief at the word virgin. Her a virgin, I lost it, I completely lost it, as I busted again, who could blame me, can you? Normal Pav. So this is their third meeting this week and Naruto knew he was going to lose, so he thought. All this time he defended himself and he lost embarrassingly. You know what they say, a best defense is good offense, and this is my dream anyway, so it's safe, thought Naruto as he then pounced at the red-haired woman. The woman's Pav. This brat is surprisingly strong, even though he lost the last two meetings he gets stronger each time. For a teenager that's impressive. She then licked her lips while she bit his right nipple. Her objective was to make her container suffer. Yes people, she is the Kyuubi no Kitsune, as once she had him wrapped around her finger she can make him do anything she wants him to do. The fact that he is very handsome makes it more fun. Hey, I will make him live a life of ecstasy. No human would be stupid enough to fight against me while in bliss, thought Kyuubi. Well, she doesn't know Naruto that much then, as he is the true definition of stupid. Kyuubi felt Naruto shuffle and push her away. She thought she had him as she gleefully smiled. She looked at Naruto and he wasn't there. Where was he? She looked around and then all she saw was blue eyes as he pounced. Arg! Screamed Kyuubi as she and Naruto fell to the ground. Back to normal Pav. As they rolled over they fought for control. Kyuubi, being a bit arrogant, let him win. Boy did she regret as she felt something wrap around her. She looked what it was and it was chains. Her eyes went wide in shock. The kid learned how to control his mindscape. What he did next caused her to see Naruto in a new light. He did what she did to him, as you know what they say, payback is a bitch. Firstly, he too licked her body while she surprisingly moaned, shocked that she is liking this human ape dong this to her. For some reason his wet tongue feels good. Oh, it's so wet. Kyuubi thought as she moaned. Naruto complimented her. Well said, you sound so good, he said huskily in her ear as she blushed. No one ever done this to me. He he dares. Kyuubi liked some action, but only when she is the one dominating, as she done it with Nibi countless times. She never saw someone so foolishly brave. Then she felt it, Naruto's fingers in her wet parts as he twirled his finger around it. Ooh, Kyuubi moaned. She put her finger in her parts before, but it never felt this good when this human is doing it. Her Yuki was surprisingly as accustomed to him as her eyes widened, thinking she finally found her mate, but she refused to admit it as she trashed around trying to break free. Don't worry, I won't bite, it will be fun, said Naruto, his hot breath tingling her neck as she moaned at the intimacy. Naruto then licked her while also biting her nipples at the same time, making her eyes go wide. How did he do that? She suddenly screamed when he put his fingers inside here and ministered her at the same time, making her finally come. Hey, surprised aren't you? Said Naruto arrogantly as he finally smiled because he has won. Kyuubi, thinking he will take her, prepared herself as she huffed in exhaustion and closed her eyes, knowing full well Naruto is not tired yet. How is he not tired yet? His stamina is unreal, thought the Kyuubi. Naruto, reading her mind, said, well, I always ran when I was little from the villages and then suddenly took it as a hobby, you know, for my future career as a ninja. Future, I can see that, said Kyuubi huskily as Naruto smirked, walking toward her with his tools erect. She thought he was going to get started but suddenly felt free as the chains gone away. She looked at Naruto in shock, finding ways to why he didn't carry one. You didn't go all the way when you were doing it to me, said Naruto as he suddenly looked down and muttered, I am so stupid for doing this shit. Kyuubi smirked excitedly and jumped at Naruto. He did not expect this as he fell to the ground hard. He then looked at Kyuubi atop of him, feeling familiar with this situation. He closed his eyes in fear. Kyuubi licked his cheeks as she kissed both of his closed eyes softly and giggled at the shaken form of Naruto. She got off him then sat down in front of him. Naruto, knowing Kyuubi got off him, laid there not moving as he looked for a signal to get up. Once he knew the woman means no harm, he got up. Kyuubi and Naruto looked at one another, crimson eyes meeting azure eyes. Naruto, do you know who I am? Said Kyuubi, looking at Naruto as he dumbly nodded. She smirked and asked, oh, who am I then? Well, you are my dream girl who likes to dress up. As Naruto looked accurately at her appearance, surprisingly making her slyly blush. Most certainly indeed, are they actually real? Smiled Naruto, who looked amazed while Kyuubi gave him the most absurd look she can muster. She just met a handsome guy, but damn, he is the most clueless idiot. She smirked as she had a glint in her eyes. Why yes, Naruto, you see I am the Kyuubi no Kitsune. I was forced to be sealed in you at birth. Naruto looked at seriously. All of a sudden she was shocked at the mood change. Out of the blue she cried, You were treated badly because of me. I was forced, Naruto-kun, for you to be a weapon for this damnable village. Kyuubi decided the truth approach well. It is the truth as Jinchurikis are known to be weapons. Although she wasn't controlled or anything, she just wanted to trample some humans. Who could blame her? It's in her nature. I know, although you're not telling me the whole truth. Kyuubi's eyes went wide at that. Thanks for not lying, as if you did lie I would have noticed. Smiled Naruto. Kyuubi cried again, shocking Naruto. Did you know the reason why I did what I did? It's because it's mating season for us foxes, Naruto-kun, and that even though I can endure it being sealed in here makes it hard to control my urges. This made Naruto's eyes go wide as he finally found the reason of all those tortures he went through. He looked at Kyuubi, who suddenly coughed blood. This scared Naruto. He ran at her, checking if she is okay. It's all right, Naruto-kun. She bit her lips as she had a twinkle in her eye. She was up to something. You see, Naruto, being sealed means I don't have my powers, and which in result I can't control my urges, and if I hold back my life shortens. She had her head down in sadness as she carried on. I will die, Naruto-kun. This made Naruto's blood run cold as he trembled. Sure, this woman tormented him in his dreams. Sure, she was the reason why he was scared to go to sleep and the hatred he is going through in Konoha, but she told him the truth straight away as he couldn't detect any lies from her. Kyuubi was smirking. Naruto, do you ever fall in love? Naruto looked downcast as he said no, remembering what he has been through. Kyuubi felt a pang of sadness and guilt, just a little, as that means a lot for her, as she never felt this way. Maybe the intimacy they had made her feel like this. God, he is good. Naruto, I never felt what love is like because I am a demon. People just either run away from me or try to use me because of my body. Do you know what that feels like? Do you? Screamed Kyuubi, all of a sudden making Naruto not a bit. Yes, a bit. People always treat me like an outcast, and when I fight back they treat me like a criminal. Either way they look down on me, said Naruto, suddenly clenching his fist. Kyuubi nodded, knowing his life all too well, although some memories she couldn't enter, but she planned to change that. As all of a sudden she grabbed Naruto and putted her head against his. Naruto blushed at how close they were. Naruto, you made me feel so special. Me, a demon, I finally got to feel what love felt like. Kyuubi looked down, avoiding eye contact with Naruto as she bit her lips. Would you kiss me willingly from inside you heart? I want to be loved, Naruto-kun, pleaded the Kyuubi. Naruto was heartbroken as here is a woman that was just as lonely as he was, maybe even more. Naruto's fist clenched as he closed his eyes in frustration. Kyuubi smirked. What do you want me to do? Said Naruto, who made up his mind. Kyuubi brought her hand towards him. Kiss my hand and say I deprecate myself to you, said the Kyuubi, looking at the confused Naruto. Deprecate, what does that mean? Thought Naruto as he asked Kyuubi what she meant. Kyuubi was in a turning point of the century. She was right in him not being that book smart, but he was street smart and was very creative. So she knew he will found out if she was lying and then will run straight off and be wary of her next time. She didn't want that. Oh, she definitely did not. Earning this boy's trust was easy to get but hard to get back. Besides, she had a feeling by earning his trust life may be fun, and boy was he fun. She then bended the truth. Well, it means give my heart to you as I already told you. Naruto had a serious look as his eyes glowed in the bedroom, making him look. Dare she say it, divine? It made her heart beat just a little. Just a tiny bit. She looked right into his eyes like a battle of wills coursed through their eyes, neither giving up. Then Naruto made his decision as he nodded. All right, I will do it. Kyuubi inwardly smirked, although she didn't show it. So she stood up while Naruto went onto his knees in a posture of a knight to his queen. He held onto her right hands and saw a ring, a golden ring with a red diamond on it. He thought nothing of it as he took a deep breath and said the words she dreamed for him to say. I Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto held his head down towards his hands, not noticing the evil smirk of Kyuubi while her eyes glowed, promising terror. Deprecate myself to you. Naruto kissed the ring and then the whole room trembled as the ring glowed, and then both of them entered the mindscape. Naruto looked at Kyuubi, who looked to be smirking, who suddenly glowed and vanished into the large cage in front of him. Naruto looked as he then saw something that made his heart stop. The cage shattered and right in front of him stood a large huge fox with 9 tails and huge fangs. It laughed. He then breathed in as it sucked the air around him. Naruto screamed, "Arg!" as an image of his soul was going into the fox, while the fox's soul, the woman's soul, actually went into him. Naruto felt weak as he was about to faint, but before he closed his eyes heard something that made his heart stop. May I pronounce the husband and wife kukukukuku. Screamed Naruto as he woke up in sweat. He then looked at his bedroom window and found out it was morning. It was just a nightmare, thought Naruto in relief as he sighed as he then got up, got dressed in his white shirt, black jacket and black pants with matching sandals. He then walked to his living room as his bedroom was just next door, then turned on the TV on the sports channel as a commentator spoke. Good morning sports fans, if you're one of Sora no Kuni sky gliding fans or a fan in general, a new stadium was just made and it looks spectacular. URG, who cares for sky gliding, it's only fun when you're doing it, said Naruto, who walked off to do the kitchen, but before that he got the newspaper that came from his door and took it to read it. He sat down in the kitchen table as he started to read the newspaper as the front headlines was about Princess Yukie. Naruto sighed as all of a sudden he heard a plate land on the table. Here you go dear, said a voice, making Naruto look at the food. It was sausages and fried eggs. Thanks, this looks delicious, responded Naruto, going back to his newspaper. How are you dear, said the charming voice, starting a conversation. Naruto let out a deep breath. He was had a nightmare, making the woman smirk as she asked if he was okay. Naruto put the newspaper down as he feasted on his breakfast. Yeah, but it's over now, munch anyway, this food is so delicious, screamed shocked Naruto, all of a sudden swallowing the food too fast as he coughed. What he saw was the smiling form of the Kyuubi no Kitsune sitting in front of him enjoying her meal. Honey, it's rude to talk when you're eating, said Kyuubi, who smiled at Naruto, who ran to the tap to get some water. What are you doing here? Screamed Naruto, pointing accusingly at Kyuubi. What are you wearing? Is that my clothes? Indeed, Kyuubi was wearing his clothes. She wore an orange t-shirt, who with difficulty tried to hold back her from ripping free, and also wore some panties. Naruto blushed as he looked at her long, shapely, smooth legs as they had no blemishes. He gulped, making the woman in question smile. Darling, it's completely normal for a wife to be comfortable with her husband. She then blushed and put her finger in her mouth cutely as her eyes shined, making her look like a cute puppy. Or a cut kid as she looked at Naruto. After we kya, screamed Kyuubi, all of a sudden putting both of her hands on her cheek as she shook in euphoria, looking like a love-struck schoolgirl. We did what? Said Naruto, wishing he never said that as Kyuubi looked at him blushing. Damn, she looks hot in those clothes, thought Naruto, who shook himself to regain his focus. Narukoi, you were an impatient man, you insisted we have our honeymoon initiation early, blushed Kyuubi. Naruto looked like lightning struck him as he screamed, honeymoon, initiation, and then he fainted. Kyuubi giggled as she looked at Naruto. Life will be very interesting, and then picked him up to the living room. Naruto opened his eyes as he woke up in the couch with a wet towel in his head. He stood up as he said, what happened, while scratched his hair. You fainted, Naruto, said Kyuubi as Naruto looked at then stood up ready for battle. What are you doing here? Kyuubi rolled her eyes at the familiarity as she suddenly disappeared. Fast, thought Naruto as the red-haired vixen came from behind and then backhanded him as he then flew across the room. But he never made an impact as Kyuubi wrapped her tails around him in order to subdue him. Naruto coughed as he had a busted lip. He looked at the Kyuubi as she looked at him in the eye. She was pissed. Now look here. I am here now and you are going to live with it, said Kyuubi heatedly, making Naruto move around in order to get free. You're the Kyuubi. How can I live with it? You tricked me, screamed Naruto. Kyuubi sighed as this boy irritates her to end. Now that may be true, but I am not fully free, you see, as I didn't trick you. Well then why are you free and not in my mind? Asked Naruto. Kyuubi sighed again as she had a lot of explaining to do. I will tell you, but do not interrupt me. If you do, it won't end well, Kyuubi threatened lightly. Well, Naruto doesn't need to know that. Naruto fearfully nodded in agreement as Kyuubi started to tell him the situation. Now although I'm out of the cage, I'm technically not free. Kyuubi looked at Naruto, who was listening intently as she sighed. Why doesn't listen he be like this in class? Well, I basically jumped from one seal to a more preferably better seal. Naruto put his hands up, wanting to ask a question like he is in class. Kyuubi ignored as she carried on. A seal that made us bond in a master and vassal kind of way. You can speak, Naruto, gestured Kyuubi. Well, so I am the master and you're the vassal? Asked Naruto curiously, making Kyuubi laugh. Well, before we get to that, let me explain in more detail the bond we are in. Making the Naruto nod. Well, the bond can never be broken because the same rule applies when I was sealed in you. I die and you die, or vice versa. Naruto nodded, understanding everything so far as all of a sudden he was pulled towards Kyuubi, making them face one another. To answer your question, this isn't one of those movies where the dragon pledges his loyalty to the knight. This made Naruto's eyes go wide at what she was implying. She smirked an evil smirk. It's the knight that pledges loyalty to the dragon. She suddenly kissed him deeply. Naruto's went in shock as his mouth got raped by the fox lady. She let go of his lips as she then caressed his face. What she said made Naruto's life turn sideways. No, it went upside down. Isn't that right, my dear vassal? Kyuubi laughed as Naruto, who was let go of by the Kyuubi, stood there gaping like a fish. He just sold his soul to the devil. Well, a foxy devil, but a devil nevertheless. He was screwed. He looked at her as she looked at him, like a predator stalking her prey, when she said in a demonic voice, "You are mine." End of flashback. Back original timeline. And here she is now living with him while she hid from the villagers. Well, not anymore, since the old man approves of her, sighed Naruto as he walked towards the training ground. The old man Hokage told him to go. It was time to meet his team, and boy was he in for a surprise. When he got there, he saw a pink-haired girl with a ridiculously large forehead. She looked at him as he looked right back. Silence loomed as the wind bellowed furiously. The both pointed at each other, screaming, "Baka, Sakura!" Birds flew off as they ran from the area. 2 hours later, in the Team 7 training ground, the new Team 7 gathered around while the Genins sat on the grass with their new teacher standing up as he snapped his orange book closed and put it in his back pocket. He looked at his new-to-be students as he sighed. "Now that we are all here, we can get this underway," said Kakashi, who looked at Naruto accusingly when he said that, making the boy twitch. "You're the one that's 2 hours late," thought Naruto, who was nursing his head, looking at Sakura, who was nursing her fists. "Man, that woman hits like a gorilla as much as she screeches like a banshee," sighed Naruto, who looked at Sasuke. Sasuke looked stoic as always, making Naruto cry comically. "Why do I have to be in this team? I might as well go to the academy." Kakashi looked at Naruto intently, remembering what the Hokage told him. Flashback. "Kakashi, watch out for Naruto, he is a handful," said Sarutobi to his shinobi, who nodded. "Hi Hokage-sama, I know he was the one who defeated Mizuki," making the old Hokage nod as he puffed his smoke. "Yes, he defeated Mizuki with a genjutsu he learned in 2 hours. It's rather unbelievable, but since it's Naruto, I'm not too surprised." Kakashi nodded as he looked at the boy's file as he asked his leader a question. "What happened to Mizuki?" making the Hokage sigh. "Well, his body is nowhere to be found, as it is like he disappeared into thin air." Kakashi shook his head, reading the boy's ludicrous file. "What, Hokage-sama, you say something?" said Kakashi to Sarutobi, who sighed in frustration. "Just leave, you are dismissed." End of flashback. "Okay, let's see, how about we get through introductions?" Kakashi said as he looked at Sakura. "You Pinky, you're first." The nickname made Sakura anger, thinking he was making her look bad in front of her Sasuke-kun. "What do you mean?" Sakura asked. "Alright, I'll go first," Kakashi said with a sigh. "My name is Kakashi Hatake. My dislikes are I don't feel like talking about. I like many things, and I haven't really thought of my future." All we learned was his name. The three of them thought with a sweat drop. "My name is Sakura Haruno and I like." Sakura looked at Sasuke and blushed. "I dislike perverts and Ino Pig and Naruto Baka, and my dream." She looked at Sasuke and giggled, making Naruto roll his eyes. "Alright, you with the attitude and the duck hair," Kakashi said, pointing to Sasuke, who looked only slightly annoyed. "My name is Sasuke Uchiha." Sasuke said. "I have no likes and many dislikes. My dream, no, my ambition is to revive the Uchiha clan and kill a certain man." Kakashi was slightly worried about Sasuke, but for the time being he had to put it off while Sakura had stars in her eyes. "Alright Whiskers, you're next," Kakashi said, pointing to Naruto, who looked deep in thought. "Uko, you mean me," making Kakashi annoyed as he didn't like to be ignored. Hypocrite much. "Okay, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. I like music and ramen. I hate people who judge others before getting to know them. My dream, I don't have one, but only to be as strong, if not stronger, than my foes," said Naruto, who thought of a certain scary vixen. "Alright, I have a fangirl, an Avenger, and a Jinchuriki who is dressed like a thug. My life is just peachy." Kakashi thought. Alright, since Naruto didn't come yesterday, we'll commence for the genin test now, as Kakashi then held up 2 bells. The ones who get the bells pass gets to eat while the other one is tied to the pole. But Kakashi-sensei, there is only 2 bells. Sakura screeched, making Kakashi wince. Exactly, one of you will not pass and will be sent back to the academy. That got shocked looks out of everyone. So you better come at me with the intent to kill. Go. Kakashi shouted this out and watched as the group disappeared. Except for one. You know you're supposed to hide, right? Naruto smiled as he cracked his neck. I like to fight head on. Making Kakashi sigh, just like the report described him, headstrong and a bit dumb. Kakashi put his bells back in his pocket as he looked ready to pull out a kunai, making Naruto tense, but instead he pulled out his favorite orange book. He then lifted his left hand while his right held his book and gestured to come and get me to Naruto. Come boy, let's see what you got, said Kakashi to Naruto, who suddenly laughed. In their hiding places, Sasuke and Sakura can see what's happening. What's that Baka doing? He is going to fail, said Sakura quietly. Sasuke just looked on with interest. Kakashi looks at Naruto from his book as he had a feeling that what he did was the wrong thing to do. Laughed Naruto as he said. You know what I like from this village? Kakashi looked on curiously, waiting for an answer. It's that for a ninja village it tends to underestimate others. As suddenly Naruto was behind Kakashi. Fast, thought Kakashi. For one of the great villages to do such a thing is kind of pathetic, said Naruto, who then poofed out of existence. Kage Bunshin, said Kakashi, who jumped out of the way, turning around to look for the boy while the smoke of the Kage Bunshin cleared. That was his major mistake, as suddenly Naruto jumped out of the smoke and speared Kakashi from behind, making Kakashi turn around in shock. What? Kakashi and Naruto fell to the ground with Naruto sitting on top of him as he screamed. When was that a Kage Bunshin, fool? Making Kakashi realize something. What Naruto did wasn't a Kage Bunshin, it was a smoke screen, as that was really him that moved fast. This made Naruto right about one thing. He really underestimated Naruto, thinking all he knew was the Kage Bunshin. What Naruto just did would have been noticed by him if he really was serious. If Naruto was an enemy, Kakashi would have been killed foolishly. What is this boy hiding? The Hokage needs to know about this. Naruto swung his right fist, intent to pulverize the Junin, when Kakashi intercepted him quickly and then twisted the boy's right hand, making Naruto go to the side as he suddenly smiled and then poofed. That's a Kage Bunshin, thought Kakashi. For sakes, we gotta kick his together. Naruto asked, irritated, to both Sasuke and Sakura, who looked unconvinced. Why would we listen to you, Baka? Sakura screamed, but even she doubted it, but wanted to look good for Sasuke. Sasuke just looked thoughtful while he looked at Naruto. I will do it myself. Sasuke jumped off, making Sakura swoon at how cool he is. Naruto looked at Sakura and asked to team up. All he got was a punch. Poof. Leaving the girl alone to go after her crush. You may have more potential than Naruto, but look at you now, said Kakashi as he looked at Sasuke, who was dug alive, leaving only his head. Kia, a scream can be heard, making Kakashi twitch in annoyance. It would seem your other teammate has been apprehended, said Kakashi. Sasuke replied with a grunt, making the man sigh. It was just a D-rank genjutsu. Is she really the top kunoichi of the year? Kakashi thought, believing what Naruto said was true as he walked to get Sakura. This village really went down the drain. But then Kakashi heard a ruffling from the bushes and in came Naruto, who looked very serious, eyes narrowed, who glowed with vigor. He looked very serious. He looked like Sensei. Time to be serious with this young man, Kakashi thought as Naruto walked towards Kakashi, intending to kick his as he then disappeared. Kakashi, although was surprised that Naruto was fast, he knew where the man was. On my left, thought Kakashi, and was right. Naruto did come from the left. Kakashi aimed to punch him, but Naruto dodged in midair and then did a spin kick to his head. Kakashi blocked the kick as he slid a couple yards. You're good, as expected from Tornado Naruto, said Kakashi as his eyes suddenly went wide when Naruto did a series of hand signs. Wind release. Drilling air bullet, screamed Naruto as he shot amazingly multiple massive drilling bullet of destructive wind towards his sensei, intending to kill him. Kakashi responded with his own series of hand signs. Water release. Water encampment wall, as a wall of water was formed around him. shielding him from Naruto's attacks completely as it was intercepted by a fence of water blown out from the mouth, and is raised from below with tremendous might. The water is blown out in the form of a circle around the Kakashi, making no room for openings. The area was covered in water as both shinobis stood on some land opposite from each other. "You keep surprising me, Naruto. Any other cats you need to get out of the bag," said Kakashi, who smiled at Naruto. Naruto inwardly blushed while he was thinking of another certain secret he has been hiding in his home. Unfortunately, the bell rung loudly as it can be heard. Kakashi sighed as he said, "Time's up, Naruto," making the young man nod in agreement. Kakashi sighed again as he looked at his soon-to-be failing group, as the one that was stuck in the stump was Sakura, as she was kicking and screaming. "For a supposedly top kunoichi, you're rather dumb," said Kakashi, making said girl scream louder at being compared at Naruto. "Well, you should be. He did better than all of you," making both Naruto's teammates' eyes go wide. Sakura screamed, "The baka. What did he do?" as she was denying anything Naruto done, making the boys sigh as Kakashi ignored them. "You all fail. Sasuke, all you think about is yourself. Sakura, all you think about is Sasuke. Naruto, all you." Ching ching, Kakashi's eyes went wide at that sound. He looked at where it was coming from and he saw Naruto playing with it. He touched the side of his pockets and was alarmed. "Where did you, how did you?" "Our first encounter," said Naruto, making Kakashi's eyes go wide, remembering the clone incident. Sasuke and Sakura looked frozen at what they just saw. "So what are you going to do?" said Kakashi as Naruto suddenly smirked when he got another trump card. "The orange book." Kakashi's world just froze. "Meiki-chan is going too." Naruto was interrupted as Kakashi screamed frantically, "No, don't say it please, you." Okay, you pass. Naruto smiled. "All's well that ends well." Hokage Tower. In the office. The Junins gathered in the Hokage's office to offer their verdicts. "What's your verdicts?" said Sarutobi seriously to his Junins. "Team 10 pass," said Asuma, who carried. "Took time but they're perfected their teamwork just like their parents. Hope they will be greater than them." Sarutobi nodded at his son, who then looked at Kurenai. "Team 8 passes also, they had good teamwork since they were already friends. Hinata is shy but I will work on it, and Kiba the same," said Kurenai with Anko, who nodded in agreement. Kurenai intended to deal with Hinata's crush when she finds him and beat Kiba's perverted nature out of him. Sarutobi shivered at her look and then looked at Kakashi, who sighed. Team 7 passes. Everyone was shocked since he made all of his team suffer and fail before. "What is it, the Uchiha?" said Anko, who rolled her eyes as Kurenai bumped her elbow to be quiet. Kakashi sighed. "Well, it was the tornado." Making everyone's eyes go wide. "What? It was Naruto, wasn't he considered a failure?" said Kurenai with Asuma in agreement. Kakashi sighed as he told everyone what happened, what Naruto told him everything. The room was shook in disbelief. Sarutobi sighed as he said, "I knew it." Everyone looked at him for an explanation as he just shook his head in sadness. "The academy screwed up, simple as that." "But sir, how can they screw up?" said Asuma as Anko interrupted him. "He is known as Tornado Naruto because of his rampaging nature, and also it is said he is involved with Yakuza. Don't think that's true, but nevertheless he is a total enigma." Kurenai nodded in agreeing with her friend. "Sir, can you tell me more about him? I thought he didn't know wine techniques, and by the look of his eyes he was holding back," said Kakashi. "Why do you think that, Kakashi?" said Guy as everyone looked one. "Is that, well, it's personal, but he had the same eyes as Sensei." This made everyone look confused as to why he is comparing Naruto to the Yondaime. Sarutobi, well, he looked shocked as you can get because the fourth, well, his eyes were cold because of the war and all of the people he killed had took toll on his mind. As the eyes was the window to the soul, if Naruto had the same eyes, then Naruto must have seen what his father seen at such a young age. This made him even more mysterious. Everyone looked at their leader when he said, "Everyone come here tomorrow after you meet with your teams, and Kakashi, bring Naruto with you." "Sir, what do you intend to do?" said Kakashi, surprised. "What I should have done long ago, and speak with Naruto and get this done with once and for all," said Sarutobi grimly, making everyone gasp as he then screamed. Dismissed. Everyone dispersed. In the dango shop while Anko was eating furiously, Kurenai looked deep in thought. "Nai-chan, what's wrong? You're not eating your dango," said Anko to her best friend. "I was thinking of something, that's all," said Kurenai as Anko looked on and then smiled perversely as she said, thinking of a certain tornado that you wish to be blown away of. Kurenai blushed as she screamed at her friend who laughed. Then Anko turned serious, making Kurenai serious as well. I know what you're thinking. He was known as a failure who failed the academy 3 times, but at the office the Hokage thought differently about him. Something's off, said Anko as Kurenai nodded as she said, he is hated by the village, that's all I know about him. Anko all of a sudden patted her on the back as she smiled. Don't worry Kurenai, your Romeo will be uncovered tomorrow, making Kurenai blush. Anko. At the apartment home of Naru Femq. It was midnight as Naruto came late to his apartment. I'm home. Naruto shivered as he said that. He looked around when he suddenly ran off to the kitchen, took some food and tried to run back outside to eat, knowing how grumpy Kyuubi gets when she is interrupted in her beauty sleep. He shivered because he almost died when he disturbed her. But when he was about to take his food outside, he saw something he never seen before. He had a basement. I don't have a basement, do I? No, this is an apartment at the top floor no less, so it is physically impossible to have a basement in here, thought Naruto as he took a gulp and then went downstairs. He was getting scared as he then saw an eerie red glowing room. Naruto's heart almost stopped as he walked shakily when he suddenly put his ear to the door. He heard moan-like voices. Ah Mizuki, this feels so good. I never felt such ecstasy in a long while. Mizuki, Naruto twitched as he had enough as he thought. She says I'm not allowed to see other girls or she will kill me, but she is with Mizuki Teme of all people. Naruto opened the door as he rushed in. What he saw made his world shatter. He saw Mizuki on an operating table as he looked to be screaming, begging Kyuubi to stop. He then saw Kyuubi while she had her back turned. He called her name. He wished he never done that. As when she turned around she was in a fox-like form. Her beautiful face was gone, replaced with a fox face, human hybrid, as she had long claws and her body was enveloped with fur all the way to her back, at least as he 9 tails swirled around. Her hair became wilder as it went all over the place, her red slit eyes glowed in terror. But what scared Naruto the most was the organs she had on the table next her and what she had in her right hand. He gasped. It was a heart. Mizuki's heart, and it was still beating as Mizuki was screaming. That can be right, he should be dead, right? Naruto looked at Kyuubi, who smiled compassionately to her husband. But to Naruto was a smile of terror as she said, "Welcome home, dear." Naruto just froze as his mind completely shut down. Naruto went to his bed as he turned off the lights, trying to get some early sleep. A minute later the desk lamp was turned on as then a body landed softly next to him. Naruto shivered as he knew who was sleeping next to him. His wife. Freaking hell, I married to Jack the Ripper, thought Naruto as he trembled knowing that she is looking at him. He was right because Kyuubi back in her human was looking at him. She then put an arm over him after she turned off the lights as she felt him flinch, making her sigh. Didn't you like it? Said Kyuubi, making Naruto eyes go wide while his back was turned. He turned around and looked right at her. He was a brave man looking at her in the eye after what he experienced. You tortured Mizuki as you basically scavenged his insides, said Naruto, who gritted his teeth trying to hold back to scream at her or just scream in terror. You saw my hybrid form, you aren't scared, said Kyuubi, ignoring her husband's question as she saw Naruto shake his head furiously. I don't care how you look like, screamed Naruto as he carried on. This time he quieted down. I knew who I was with, it doesn't matter what you are. Who am I to judge, making him look downcast, clearly showing how disturbed he was. Kyuubi smiled brightly like 1,000 suns. He doesn't care about how I look, that's rare, thought Kyuubi, who smiled, learning something new about her husband every day. She liked this marriage thing, although he is her vassal she can get used to call him her husband. Answer the question, said Naruto, shaking Kyuubi out of her thoughts. Kyuubi looked at her man as she decided to tell him what he needed to know, as here was a man who didn't care what she looked like. She didn't want to lose a man like that. Not ever. She sighed as she looked Naruto in the eye. Mizuki, after the incident with you, I wanted to show him what a real demon is. You're not one, I am. As all of a sudden 2 hands shot out to grab her cheeks, making her blush, although Naruto didn't see that because it was dark. She was relieved because of that. Look Kyuubi, you're a demon, I get that, and I can't stop you from doing what you do. Naruto took a breath before he put his head against her, making said woman blush furiously for the first time. But please don't do that, or just tell me we can sort something out because after all we are husband and wife, or I am just your vassal. Kyuubi's was stricken for the first time as her eyes went wide as her thoughts was on one thing. We will sort it out. We are husband and wife. Oh Naru-kun, blushed Kyuubi happily for the first time. Okay Kyuubi, said Naruto to his wife, although it will take time to get used to. Kasara, said Kyuubi, making Naruto raise an eyebrow as he asked her what she said. My name is Yoko Kasara, Naruto smiled as he introduced himself. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. Nice to meet you Kasara-chan, said Naruto, who daringly hugged her. Kasara's eyes went wide as she felt a new feeling. She felt complete. They then resumed to sleep, but before Naruto asked her a question that was on his mind ever since they got married. Kasara-chan, when I chained you, you could have easily got out, right? Said Naruto with his back turned as suddenly an arm started to wrap around him as said arm used its fingers to play with his back. That's right Naruto-kun, making said man's eyes go wide. What would have happened if I went all the way? Kasara grinned as she said, well Naruto-kun, that depends, as I was just seeing what kind of person you were. When you stopped you met, no surpassed my expectation of you, said Kasara as Naruto sternly asked again, if I didn't stop you what would have happened? The Kyuubi then smiled as she put her chin on Naruto's shoulders and whispered in his ear demonically. You would have been dead before you landed the ground. Naruto's eyes went wide in fear as he quickly closed his eyes to go to sleep. Wishing the day will be over already. Middle of the night. In the middle of the night while Naruto was snoring lightly, Kasara can be seen awake as she sat up looking at her former host, now vassal, husband. She suddenly caressed his sleeping face, giggling as she wiped a drool from his mouth. All I have to do now is let him accept my little problem. Hey, giggled Kyuubi, thinking about the time Naruto was disturbed of her action. What a great husband you will be, my vassal. Kyuubi slept as she held Naruto on her grand, firm yet soft assets. Naruto slept comfortably tonight, while Kasara slept happily, both not knowing that the calm is over and the storm is yet to come. Chapter 2, What Love Does to You. Here is Chapter 2 guys, so sorry I was late, got exams coming up so no updates till it's over. Italics means the person is thinking. Bold as a demon or God talking. Enjoy. What love does to you. Training Ground 7. Where is that baka? Sakura shouted like as she stood near Sasuke. Much to his ire and to their surprise, Kakashi was there as well. The two other academy teams were also gathered as apparently their senseis wanted all three teams to train together. I don't think your team is really cut out to be genin. If that punk is in your team, forehead, you're lucky Sasuke-kun is in your team. Soud Ino, who smiled victorious to her rival as Sakura just turned to Ino and surprisingly just nodded as she also believes the same thing. Asuma sighed as he finished another cigarette while Shikamaru looked ready to fall asleep, muttering how troublesome it is to wake up, while Choji continued eating chips. They, along with Team 8, and most of Team 7, had been waiting for an hour for Naruto to show up. Aw man, I'm training with the tornado, I wish we just leave, sighed Kiba sorely as Akamaru whined, feeling sorry for him. Kurenai looked at her student, pondering why he is like this. Hinata answered her sensei's question as she told her what Naruto done to him. Ahahaha, he put you in the trash, man, he is cruel, laughed Anko as Kiba lowered his head in embarrassment. Anko, leave the poor child alone, he had enough as it is, said Kurenai, inwardly trying not to laugh. Kakashi all of a sudden started to walk out of the area as Sakura screamed out to where he was going. He ignored her however as he looked serious at the moment. The Junins noticed as they went to him, leaving their students for a while. Sasuke, Shikamaru and Shino noticed, but the last two ignored it anyway, while the Uchiha can be seen narrowing his eyes in suspicion. Kakashi, where are you going? Asked Asuma while the Junins gathered round. I'm going to look for him. I heard from the Hokage that he is like this, said Kakashi, intending to find his delinquent student. I know where he lives, said Anko, surprisingly astounding her colleagues. You do, said Kakashi as Anko nodded, smiling while grabbing hold of Kurenai suddenly. Hey, what are you? Kurenai was interrupted as Anko said that she and Kurenai will go and get him, as she then ran off dragging the red-eyed woman with her. What was that about? Said Asuma while Kakashi shrugged, bringing out his signature orange book, making the smoker sigh. Konoha Market. Anko, do you really know where he lives? Said Kurenai, not knowing why she is going along. Anko looked at her friend and smiled. Nope. Just as I thought, sighed Kurenai as Anko carried on, but we are going to find out. And thus the search for the shinobi delinquent has begun. The home of Naru Femq. Arrrrrgghhh, shit, I am late. Screamed Naruto, frustratingly raiding his closet. Naruto, darling, what are you doing at this hour? Said Kasara tiredly as she groggily woke up. It's 12:00 in the afternoon, screamed Naruto at his mistress wife. Ah baby, that's not how you talk to your owner or wife for that matter, giggled the Kyuubi as she saw Naruto fall in the floor trying to put on his trouser too quickly. Alright, let's make you breakfast or lunch, said Kasara as she got up to go to the kitchen. I don't want breakfast, I will eat later, said Naruto, making his wife sigh. You are going to eat, Naruto. I am not going to eat. It's late, as suddenly he felt the air turn cold. You are going to eat, said Kyuubi demonically while the atmosphere froze. Yes ma'am, said Naruto submissively as he cowered while he gulped. Good, smiled Kyuubi as time moved on again. Damn, her anger makes the world stop, thought Naruto, sighing in relief while he wiped his forehead, thanking God it's over. She was one scary woman as he again wished that it was a dream. Naruto, breakfast is ready. Kasara's voice can be heard from the kitchen. Coming, screamed Naruto as he ran, not wanting to face her anger. Ichiraku's ramen stand. Welcome to Ichiraku's, greeted Ayame to Kurenai and Anko. Ah sorry, we are not here to eat, said Kurenai, trying to hold back Anko from ordering. Then what are you here for? Asked Tyuki as he came out from the kitchen. Do you know where Naruto lives? Asked Anko. This made the father and daughter tense, but it was noticed by both Junins as they nodded at each other. Why do you want to know where he lives? Asked Ayame, looking at both Junins suspiciously. Well, he is late for a meeting for starters and we are looking for him, said Kurenai. Then you should wait for him, he will come, said Tyuki, sternly dismissing both women. But, Anko was rudely interrupted by Ayame. Why are you asking us go to the Hokage? Ayame looked angry as Anko looked to respond but was ushered out by Kurenai as she bowed and left. What their problem anyway? Said Anko, not liking the ramen girl's attitude. Kurenai looked on as she sighed. Let's just go ask the Hokage, but was interrupted by a voice. Are you looking for Naru ni? Smiled a toothless kid with his little friends. Anko smiled. Why yes. At Naruto's apartment. The atmosphere was tense as husband and wife continued to eat breakfast. Hey Kasara, I felt my chest itch last night and all of a sudden this came out, screamed Naruto, pulling out his t-shirt showing his well-developed chest. At his upper body laid a tattoo. It had a small 9-tailed fox covered around a circle. Kasara giggled as she inwardly blushed at his figure, making said boy more frustrated. Naruto, well, that's a mark that shows you are mine. Naruto sighed at her possessive nature. Can you tell me more about this vassal thing? Kasara slightly looked up while she ate her cereal. Well Naruto, I already told you what the unity entails. That mark just shows others that you and I are one. See. Kasara, once she finished eating, tried to take off Naruto's shirts she was wearing as suddenly Naruto screamed at her to stop. Okay, that's enough, I get it, said a red-faced Naruto. Kasara just giggled at her husband's innocence even though he seen her body as much as she seen his. Hey Kasara, said a serious voice. Kasara looked at Naruto, shrugging off what she was thinking. What happened to Mizuki? Kasara inwardly was surprised as she tried to bring out an excuse. Ding dong, the doorbell rang, interrupting their discussion. I get it, you just stay right here, said Naruto, who then left to get the door, leaving the Kyuubi no Kitsune to her thoughts. Saved by the bell, Kasara sighed as she thought about her latest patient. She will get to him later as she had a surprise for him. You sure this is the place? Said Kurenai as she clearly didn't like what she saw. They were at the slums of Konoha where lots of criminal activity ensued. Yup, Naru ni lives here, smiled a cheerfully Moegi. Kurenai looked at the kids and asked them if they were not scared at coming to these parts of the village. Well, we are, but, said the snoot-nosed Udon, contemplating his thoughts. Boss will protect us, said Konohamaru as he punched his fist in the air. Moegi nodded. That's true, boss is very strong. Yeah, like an action hero, said Udon, making Konohamaru bump his head. We are not kids anymore, Udon, we are part of boss's group now. Kurenai giggled while she thought. Naruto is well liked by these kids. Action hero huh, is he that strong, said an amused Anko. Konohamaru, not liking her tone, responded that his boss Anko not liking people saying that to her, screamed, well, if I saw him he will fall in 10 seconds flat. 10 seconds huh, said a voice behind her. Everyone looked and saw their topic of discussion. Anko and Kurenai froze as the kids screamed at their boss, running and hugging him. Easy there kids, what did I tell you not to come here alone, scolded Naruto. But boss, we just wanted to see you, whined Moegi. Yeah boss, we like to play ninja with you, said Konohamaru, as then the kids nodded cheerfully. You like to play ninja, said Anko, who giggled at Naruto trying to annoy him. Naruto just looked confused at her. Well yeah, if they want, they're just kids. Anko went quiet as she didn't have anything to say, while Kurenai just looked on. Naruto knelt towards them, breaking the news that he can't come. Hey kids, sorry I can't play, these ladies are here to take me because I'm late, you see. The kids whined but then hoped because Naruto said he will play with them after. You're surprisingly good with kids, Naruto, said an amazed Kurenai. Naruto, well, he just scratched the back of his head as he lightly blushed. Nah, it's nothing, and then laughed lightly. Anko and Kurenai looked at one another, clearly surprised. Is this Naruto? What are your names? Said Naruto, scratching his head again, embarrassed. Well, since you don't know us, I'm Yuhi Kurenai and this is my friend Midarashi. Anko, gestured Kurenai. The most awesome Kunichi Anko, at your service, Tornado, Anko boldly responded as she then shook Naruto's hand. It's Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto, smiled Naruto, who then told the kids to run off as he and the Junins have business to tend to. The kids nodded and ran off, screaming their goodbyes. Naruto looked at the two Junins as he sighed. All of a sudden this raised the eyebrows of said Junins. Well, can you go ahead? I catch up, said Naruto, wanting to tell the lady inside he is going. No way you're coming with us, said Anko, not taking no for an answer. That's right Naruto, you are very late. 3 hours perhaps, said Kurenai, making the Naruto's eyes go wide. What, just a second, I need to get my jacket, said Naruto as he went back inside. The two female Junins stood outside politely waiting. Well, Kurenai was, but Anko wanted to go inside. Back inside, Naruto met Kyuubi at the hallway as she was watching the conversation, surprisingly not being found out. Kasara, I am going, yeah, said Naruto, looking at his wife. Kasara nodded as she suddenly hugged him, much to Naruto's surprise. Have a nice day, Naruto-kun. Kasara turned away as walked back in the living room, leaving a surprised-looking Naruto behind as she never added a suffix to his name. He rushed back inside the living room, looking at the Kasara who sat to watch some television. If you need anything, you know where I will be, Kasara nodded as he then went back to the two Junins. Do you want anything to drink before we go? Said Naruto to the two Junins as they then looked at each other as Anko asked for some. Naruto went back inside to bring out a bottle of water and gave it to her. Anko thanked him, thus they set out to the meeting. When they left, Kasara can be seen at the window with a serious look as she then disappeared. Training Ground 7. Where were you, Baka? Screamed Sakura at her idiotic teammate as he rolled at her eyes. Tch, it's none of your business. Making the pink-haired fume even more. Now that Naruto's here, we can get on with the training, said Kakashi, who looked at Naruto sternly. As a matter of fact, any reason why you were late? Naruto responded, I thought you will be late, what are doing on time? Making the Junin's eyes go wide as Kakashi scratched the back of his. You got me there. Okay kids, we are going to do one-on-one spars, said Asuma as the Genins looked on. Kurenai interjected when Asuma pulled out to smoke but was having problems to do his lighter. Each student will fight one of us in order to see your strengths and weaknesses. Alright, so is it going to be students getting help from their Junin sensei, or is it going to be mixed, said Sakura. It's going to be mixed, Pinky, making said Pinky angry at that name. Kiba snorted, trying to hold his laughter. So who am I going to fight? Is it Scarecrow again? Said Naruto as he pulled out a lighter and lightened Asuma's cigarette while he murmured his thanks. Nope, not today, said an amused Anko at the nickname as Kakashi was twitching in irritation. Asuma smoked in relief as he looked at Naruto. Nice lighter you got there, do you smoke? Everyone looked on at his answer. Naruto shrugged, just being friendly. Asuma laughed as he patted the boy's back. You and I will get on just fine. Everyone's sweat dropped as Kurenai screamed out the formation. Alright Sasuke, Shino, Ino, go to Kakashi for a one-on-one. Ino's cheers and Sakura's whines can be. Hinata, Shikamaru and Choji with Asuma. Sakura, Kiba and Naruto with me and Anko. Kiba started to sweat as Sakura screamed, "What, I'm with the Baka and Ino with Sasuke-kun. Geez Sakura, you might learn something with a new Junin teacher, so just go with it," sighed Naruto, making Sakura fume and try to hit him in the head, but he dodged. "See, you need training," making her more angrier. Kurenai sighed as Kiba shakily went to his sensei. Sensei, can I change groups?" "No you can't, it was decided already," making the dog boy groan and his dog whimper. "Are you scared of the tornado?" said Anko, who looked gleeful at the boy's fear, making said tornado perk up at the name. "Who's scared?" as he then went to his group. Kiba tensed, which Naruto noticed as he grabbed Kiba's shoulder. "Hey, you alright?" Kiba started to sweat as he stuttered, I. Anko laughed. "Well, he is just scared of being thrown in the trash can again." All of a sudden Naruto looked serious, making the group quite even. Sakura stopped her angry sulking as all you can hear was the other groups chattering. Naruto looked at Kiba, his arms clenching, making Kiba sweat as Akamaru whined while he gulped, "I'm gonna die." Naruto looked down as he suddenly bowed, making the group and Kiba shocked. Heck, the surrounding groups looked on as they stopped what they were doing. "I'm sorry what I did. I was in a bad mood that day, so forgive me," apologized Naruto. Kiba was dumbstruck as he looked at the sky, thinking the world's going to end. "Naruto, the tornado apologized." He apologized. Kiba stuttered as he was surprised at what he was seeing. It's okay, it's alright," said Kiba as he waved his hands furiously. Naruto then smiled as he grabbed Akamaru. "I'm sorry to you too, little guy." "Arf," barked Akamaru, happily licking Naruto's face, making him laugh. What has got into you, Naruto Baka?" screamed Sakura, not believing her eyes. Naruto ignored her as gave the dog back to Kiba and looked at his sensei for the day. "Now that this is over with, let's begin our session." Kurenai and Anko dumbly nodded as they again thought, "Is this Naruto?" "Yosh, I'm feeling pumped up today," said Kiba, getting his shine back, with Akamaru barking in agreement. Naruto smiled as he lightly laughed. "Me too." He looked at Sakura as he had a devious plan in mind. "Nay Sakura, if you get stronger than me, Sasuke-kun will like you." Sakura lighted like a Christmas tree as she screamed, "Yosh Naruto Baka, you're going down." Kurenai sighed, fangirl, as she looked at Anko, who had a glint in her eyes when she looked at Sakura. "I almost feel sorry for her." "Okay Pinky, you're with me," said Anko as she took Sakura with her, making said pink girl nod, not being angry at the comment she just heard. Kurenai, Kiba and Naruto were all that was left. "Okay Kiba and Naruto, you will spar, the winner will spar with me," making both boys nod. They stood at front of each other as Kurenai looked on. "You're going down, Naruto," said a pumped up Kiba, ready for battle with Akamaru. Naruto cracked his neck as he said, "That's good, because I don't feel like getting my kicked." Kurenai can be seen with a serious expression at the battle that is going to begin. "Show me what you got, Naruto." "Gatsuga," screamed Kiba, with Akamaru in tow ready for his signature attack. Kiba went to spin at a ferocious speed and delivered a powerful beast-like attack, trying to make contact Naruto. As Kiba's attack went towards his target, Naruto just stood there and then ran towards Kiba. This made Kurenai's eyes go wide in shock. Both of them collided as then dust covered the area. When it cleared, Kiba can be seen looking around. "Where is he? I thought we had him," said Kiba, with Akamaru and him trying to smell him. They found his scent and quickly turned around. "There he is, Gatsu," but that was not Naruto but his black jacket. Kurenai and Kiba's eyes went wide. "His jacket." As then a voice can be heard, "Behind you." Kiba turned around as he then saw multiple Narutos. Cage Bunshin. Kurenai looked shocked as all the Narutos jumped at Kiba. Kiba, thinking it's easy, tried to do his technique again but then felt someone grab him from behind. "What?" thought Kiba and Kurenai in shock. "Always know your surroundings," whispered Naruto as he grabbed Kiba tightly. Akamaru tried to attack him but froze as it looked at Naruto's eyes. They were cold. Kiba screamed Akamaru to attack as the dog regardless listened to its owner and jumped at Naruto as suddenly Naruto poofed. As the smoke ensued while Akamaru was in the air, a black jack flew in, grabbing hold of Akamaru. "Akamaru!" screamed Kiba for its friend. The smoke cleared as suddenly the real Naruto can be seen holding Akamaru inside his jacket. "Akamaru is right here, Kiba," Give up, you can't win. Kiba still looked ready to go, making Naruto sigh. I think you kind of forgot my cage bunchins, you're surrounded. Kiba's eyes went wide as he saw lots of Naruto clones surrounding him. Knowing that he was outmatched, he surrendered. Naruto smiled as he then let go of Akamaru, who flew towards its owner. Nice game, Kiba. If you need help to train, don't hesitate to ask me. Kiba nodded as he might take Naruto's offer someday. Kurenai clapped as she walked towards the group. Well done, Naruto, good thinking. She looked at her student disapprovingly. Kiba, you shouldn't rely too much on Akamaru. Take this as a lesson and learn from it. Kiba nodded, knowing he's got to change. Alright Kiba, go to Sakura and Anko and Naruto. Let's get going, said Kurenai. Kiba went as Naruto nodded, but before he started, Kurenai said, treat me the same way you did Kakashi. Naruto smiled. I intend to. You are Junin like him, so you deserve credit for your strength. Kurenai blushed as no one complimented her like this. She shook her head and said, okay, let's go. They stood at a clearing as Naruto intended to go first. I'm going first, sensei. Naruto did a series of hand signs. Wind release. Drilling air bullet, screamed Naruto as he shot single drilling bullet of destructive wind towards Kiba's sensei. As the wind sliced through the ground, Kurenai jumped as high as she could, dodging the attack. That's the technique Kakashi was talking about. It seems he is serious. She came down looking for Naruto as he disappeared. Right behind you, sensei, said Naruto behind, intending to get her surprised as suddenly she smiled, making Naruto surprised this time. I'm Junin like you said, Naruto-kun. As suddenly he felt completely robbed of his mobility, and then Naruto saw the mirage of a tree coiling itself around him as Kurenai come out said tree. She put a kunai at his neck as she said, give up, Naruto-kun, you lost. This time Naruto smiled as he then closed his eyes and opened straight away, making his eye glow very bright. Suddenly the genjutsu faded. Wah, what? Said Kurenai, shocked. Naruto looked at her as he said, genjutsu is not my strong point, but I found a way to defeat it. All I did was charge up my chakra, which cancelled it. He looked at the confused form of Kurenai as he sighed. The only reason I defeated it was that I caught you by surprise. It takes a lot of chakra to hold the genjutsu, so the only way for me to not cancel it is if you have more chakra than me, or if it is a stronger genjutsu. Kurenai looked stunned as she then smiled. I keep that in mind, Naruto-kun. When we face next time, you win. Naruto smiled as he looked tired. Your genjutsu took a lot out of me. Sigh, wasted too much chakra. Kurenai smiled at him as she nodded. Hey, can you teach me some genjutsu? Just the basic ones, cause you're kind of very strong, asked Naruto kindly, smiling at her, making her slyly blush again. Kurenai nodded as she said, sure, I don't mind. See me when you're free. Naruto smiled, telling her she won't regret it. Kurenai smiled on as she suddenly coughed to regain her composure. Okay, that's enough, Naruto, let's get back to the rest. Everyone gathered round as the genins looked beat up or tired. Sakura looked worse for wear as she looked at Anko fearfully. Kakashi asked the Junins to report the genins progress, him going first. Shino is very tactical as he uses the bugs quite a lot, so teaching him taijutsu is most preferred, as I already told him, because if an enemy gets close to him and overpowers him, what will he do? Shino and Kurenai nodded as Kakashi carried on. Ino, well, she is no different from Sakura, sighed Kakashi, making Ino scream. All she knows is her clan's technique. Asuma, you need to teach her taijutsu and keep control of her. Asuma nodded, looking at a fuming Ino. And finally Sasuke. Kakashi sighed again as he looked at his pupil in disappointment. Sasuke, you haven't learned a thing, have you? Said Kakashi, while Sasuke just ignored him as he kept looking at Naruto. It was Asuma's turn as he said, Shikamaru, Choji and Hinata seems to team up so well. As he looked at Hinata and smiled, but Hinata needs some confidence. If she gets over that, she will be a fine shinobi. Hinata blushed as Kurenai gave her a motherly smile. All the Pinky did was run, said Anko as she sighed. Makes me wonder how she is the kunoichi of the year. Kakashi sighed as Ino laughed. You are no better than her, Ino. In fact, the only kunoichi that should be proud of herself is Hinata. Well done, Hinata, you did good, said Kiba as Akamaru barked in joy. Yeah, Hinata, keep it up, said Naruto, who smiled a kind smile as the girl looked ready to die when Naruto complimented her. Kurenai looked at the two and smiled. It would seem I would have to speak with him about Hinata. Kurenai, your turn, said Anko, waking her up from her thoughts. Oh, Kiba relies too much on his clan techniques as Naruto showed him his flaws which he tends to correct. She looked at Kiba who looked determined as he nodded furiously. In Naruto, well he surprised me as managed to stand his ground against me, said Kurenai making the Junin's eyes and Sasuke's eyes go wide and make Naruto smile. What that baka is a loser, screamed Ino not taking that a 3-year loser is better than her. Hey could you not yell geez, said Naruto while he and Shikamaru flinched as he was annoyed at the troublesome girl. You're wrong Ino Naruto is way strong, he beat Sasuke in the academy all the time, said Kiba as that was it for Sasuke as he looked at Naruto angrily, fight me Dobi. Naruto looked at him and sighed, sorry I'm tired now I don't have time to play games. Sasuke taking no for an answer tried to charge at Naruto but Kakashi held him back. He is your teammate, only fight him in spars other than that calm yourself, said Kakashi sternly to his student. TCH, Sasuke got out of Kakashi's grasp and walked off making both fangirls scream at him as they ran after him. Asuma sighed, well this training is over then you are dismissed team, making Shikamaru stretch as he intended to go home and get some rest Choji went with him as they left. Kurenai-sensei, Kiba-kun, Naruto-kun goodbye, said Hinata as she waved goodbye. Take care Hinata, said Naruto making the girl blush and run off much to his confusion. Before Kiba left he looked at Naruto with a serious expression. Yo Naruto can you come to my house tomorrow, said Kiba quietly making Naruto and everyone look at him. Sure but why, said Naruto raising his eyebrow. Kiba looked Naruto in the eye as he said, well you beat me and I want to be your sparring partner we could train in my family's compound. Naruto smiled at him, sure Kiba I will gladly become your partner. As they shook hands, well see you tomorrow Naruto, waved Kiba goodbye as Naruto nodded happily. It would seem you're making friends Naruto, said Kakashi looking at his student Naruto shook his head, nah he just wants to be strong. Naruto then looked at Kurenai and Anko and said he said his thanks, well it's time to head out. Naruto was about to leave when Kakashi grabbed his shoulder. Naruto looked at him as the man smiled, wait just right there Naruto the Hokage wants to see you. Naruto looked at him and then at the Junins as they all looked at him. Well the old man won't mind me getting something to eat first right, said Naruto making the one-eyed Junin sigh. Okay Naruto why don't I come with you I'm kind of hungry myself, said Kakashi as Anko screamed out. I know a good place to eat. Making Kurenai face palm Naruto nodded at her, alright lead the way, as they all went with Anko. At the dango shop, the Junins and Naruto were gathered around the table as Anko was munching on a dango way too quickly. Hey Naruto how you been, asked Kakashi smiling. Fine, this is good, said Naruto munching his dango at the same pace as Anko. I know it's the best in the world, said Anko with her mouth full Naruto looked at her as he said, well that's your opinion Ayame an old man's ramen is the greatest you should try some. Anko looked at Naruto as she didn't like her dango to be compared took Naruto's dango. Hey that's mine, give it back, said Naruto narrowing his eyes at the snake lady. No, you make fun of dango, said Anko pulling out her tongue at him making said boy fume as he sighed. Anyway Naruto are you full yet, said Asuma as he wanted to get going Naruto then sighed suddenly. Yeah sure. I suddenly lost my appetite, said Naruto looking at some guys who looked at him disgustingly as he and everyone else heard whispers. Hey is that Tornado, what is he doing here? He is with some shinobis, is he getting arrested? URG thank God now I can finally live in peace with him behind bars. Yeah, what a scum. Naruto looked downcast as he looked at the group thoughtfully. Everyone looked at him in worry as Kurenai who was sitting next to him soothingly touched his shoulder. Ignore them Naruto they know nothing. Surprisingly Naruto smiled as he shrugged. I know it's nothing. He then got up and walked out the bar paying more than he needs to. Hey Naruto, that's more than enough, said Anko as she was interrupted by Naruto, forget it I won't be coming back anyway. Everyone looked downcast as Anko looked to be clenching her fist in anger Kurenai grabbed her shoulder telling her not to do anything. The Junins got up and went after Naruto. The Hokage office, Konoha. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed as he wished to have a nice sake and just go fishing with his grandson. You know do old man stuff. But no, his damn successor had decided to go and sacrifice himself for the village and leave him alone to pick up the pieces. When I'm finally retired from this blasted paperwork, it has come back to haunt me. Damn you, Minato. Sarutobi then looked at the file before him. It was the file of another person his successor left behind and the culprit responsible for making his life difficult. Uzumaki Naruto. This boy was a boy. He failed as a Hokage and a friend to his father and mother. The boy was left to his own devices ever since he was 6. A 6-year-old boy alone in a village is unheard of, but a village full of people that detest him was downright insane. Minato, Kushina, I have failed your son. What he becomes will be all our fault. Sighed Sarutobi looking at the file of said boy. The boy he knew nothing about. He never saw Naruto until he applied for the academy when he was 12. What the boy was doing before that he did not know, and it was the damn council's fault. We don't care about the damn brat, muttered Sarutobi mockingly as he was deeply disappointed at the clan heads for letting his parents down and the damn no-sense civilian council. What kind of village has civilian council? He can guess that none of the other great villages have one. It was just preposterous. Although some are beginning to regret what they have done, I just hope it's not too late. Speaking of the devil, suddenly there was a knock at his door. Sarutobi sighed as he grunted the permission to enter. His secretary came and told him that the Junins are coming. She looked rather angry, making the old man sigh at another stupid civilian hating the boy for no reason. Arg, sighed Sarutobi again as he held his head, mentally preparing the headache to come. Send them in. At the dark alleyway. A man can be seen in the dark as he slowly was limping out of the alleyways. Hey man, you alright? Said a man walking past to the downtrodden figure trying to reach out to him. As he then felt a hand pulling him into the dark alleyway, making the man scream. Screams and pierced flesh can be heard as on top of a building you can see a figure smirking. In the Hokage office you can see the Junin standing behind a person sitting on a chair facing the Hokage. The Hokage clasped his hands together as he looked serious. Naruto, do you know why you are here? Said the Hokage to his successor's son. Naruto looked around before he shrugged. No, I don't. Sarutobi sighed at the difficulties he was going to face as he then pulled out a file and gave to Naruto. Read this report. Naruto raised his eyebrow as he then took the report and read it. Minutes went past in silence as the more engrossed Naruto was in reading the report, the more serious he was getting. The Junins all looked tense as Kakashi wasn't even reading the orange as he just looked at his new student. Naruto put the report down as he turned around and looked straight at Kakashi with eyes narrowed. Kakashi tensed, not because he was scared of Naruto, but at his eyes it just reminded him of his sensei, which made him flinch. The other Junins all tensed at the intensity of the glare Naruto was emitting. That enough, Naruto, said Sarutobi trying to calm the boy, but was interrupted. Surely you don't believe this. Yes, I have shown strength, but who hasn't? This is a ninja village, said Naruto sternly at the Hokage. Yes Naruto, but we just want no, said Kurenai, who was about to carry on but was interrupted. I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to your superior, so I would like for him to answer. Said Naruto, almost raising his voice while he looked at the red-eyed genjutsu mistress, making her flinch as she then looked down. Hey, don't talk to Kurenai like that. Anko screamed, trying to help her best friend. Enough. Everyone stopped and then looked at their Hokage. Naruto, what you are saying is true, but I ask you again, where did you get the teaching from? The boy just kissed his teeth as he looked at the Hokage in the eye. I learned it myself. Naruto, I will be specific. Where did you get the wind technique from? Said Sarutobi, making Naruto narrow his eyes. Naruto sighed as he said, I got it as a present from someone. The Hokage and the Junins looked on in concentration. Naruto, who was it? The boy just shrugged as he said it was anonymous, telling him it was a gift. The old man sighed as his son raised an eyebrow at the ridiculous answer. You expect us to believe someone gave you a B-ranked wind technique as a gift? This surprised Naruto. Whoa, it's B-ranked. Nice. Everyone's sweat dropped at his mood change. Nevertheless, Naruto, why did you say such things about Konoha? Said Sarutobi, making Naruto looked at him with an amusing smile. You are the Hokage and you don't see what your village is becoming, as Naruto then laughed. Naruto, don't you dare insult Hokage-sama, said Asuma, berating the boy for insulting his dad. It's true. You are correct in that statement, Naruto, making everyone except Naruto gasp at the Hokage for admitting such a thing. I'm truly sorry for the academy teacher's stupidity and hatred for trying to hold you back, said Sarutobi, who started to get sad at his failure to Naruto, reminding him how he failed his student. He was being held back, thought the Junins, shocked at what they were hearing, surprised that the hatred got this far. Can I go now? Said Naruto quietly, looking at the window. Not yet, Naruto, making the boy groan, but then an ambush shined in the room. What is it, cat? Said Sarutobi, becoming serious, as you don't see the Anbu commander coming in unless it is very serious. The Anbu commander saluted as she bowed. Sir, it's Mizuki, he has been found, making everyone's eyes go wide. Is he apprehended? Said Sarutobi as he looked at the cat Anbu. No sir, there is trouble. It's, Kakashi sighed, suddenly interrupting her. Surely you can easily arrest a Chunin Yugao. Izuki Yugao, who is the cat Anbu, took off her mask as she glared at her senpai, but then suddenly screams can be heard. Come out, Kyuubi brat, screamed a voice gesturing Naruto to come out. Everyone looked at the window as they saw Mizuki, who is JSUT, standing there outside. Naruto's eyes went wide at seeing Mizuki. The Hokage and the Junins were thinking he is just shocked on what he said. But Naruto was thinking about something else. He is alive. Anbu then came as they started to surround him. Mizuki, you are under arrest for the death of countless civilians and the attempting theft of the Forbidden Scroll. Mizuki just chuckled as he then laughed out loud. Everyone looked on as he laughed a crazy laugh. You think you can beat me? Said Mizuki arrogantly. The Anbu just went on the defensive as they got ready for battle. The captain, who wore a boar mask, screamed, he is just a Chunin, apprehend him, make sure you do not kill him. The Anbu all nodded as they ran to Mizuki, intending to capture him. How wrong they were, as suddenly Mizuki's eyes started to glow red and then blue chakra started to come out of him. He was muttering something like he was talking to someone while his hair was covering his face. Yes my love, I shall do what you say. Mizuki then glowed red for a second as he charged at the Anbu. Everyone's eyes went wide at what happened next. Screams and sound of gore can heard as Mizuki slaughtered the Anbus. He was holding Survivor by the neck with a chakra claw as he looked like was clawing his way through. Arg, what are you? Muttered the Anbu captain. Mizuki looked at him gleefully as he screamed, I'm a savior. Everyone, let's go, Naruto, get out of here, screamed the Hokage as Naruto didn't need to be told twice as he took this opportunity to run as he jumped to the rooftops. Mizuki saw as he screamed, where are you going, demon, as he then took a deep breath and fired fireball jutsu at Naruto. What, no hand signs, said Enko, shocked, while the Junins thought the same thing. Naruto-kun, get out of there, said Kurenai in fear for him as the huge fireball was coming to Naruto at tremendous speed. Naruto looked around as he then saw a huge container. He smirked. That's it, he did the necessary hand signs as he screamed, wind release, drilling air bullet, and shot a single drilling bullet of destructive wind towards the container. When it hit, huge water erupted out of the container as it hit the fireball, cancelling each other out. Nice, said Enko, smirking at how clever he was. Kurenai nodded in agreement, relieved as she didn't know why she felt scared for his safety. Sarutobi too smiled as he looked at Naruto, inwardly complimenting him at his quick thinking. Kakashi's eyes narrowed in suspicion while he looked at the running form of Naruto. He knew his student was hiding something and he intended to find out. Sir Mizuki, said Asuma as he pointed at Mizuki trying to run after Naruto. Earth release, earth flow river, motioned Sarutobi as he the jutsu on Mizuki, transforming the ground upon which Mizuki was standing into a river of mud to throw him off balance. Now go, Kakashi then jumped right at him, ready to unleash his signature technique. Mizuki looked on arrogantly as he quietly said, my love, give me more power. There was no response as Mizuki asked again, but only received laughter in return. My love, said Mizuki, who looked confused. Ugh, my love this, my love that, you're like a broken record, said the melodic voice. Wah, what but my love? Stuttered Mizuki to his love, making said woman laugh evilly. There you go again. You men are so easy to control. Once you see beauty you think you are in love. Hey, giggled the woman voice in Mizuki's head. Mizuki tried to make sense to what was going on. But my love, you said we will be together forever. Mizuki started to plead as he started to shake. Ugh, it sickens me when a man starts to beg. You served your purpose, said the voice as it cut off the connection, leaving Mizuki alone and helpless as the woman's power left him. Mizuki started to recollect on what happened. Mini flashback. You alright? I managed to heal you, said a crimson-haired woman to a bedridden Mizuki in a bed. From the looks of it he was in an apartment. What happened? He was interrupted when a hand touched his face soothingly. He looked and saw the most beautiful woman he ever seen as he blushed. Don't worry, you are safe now, smiled the woman, showing her serene crimson eyes. Mizuki looked at her dreamily as he blushed at the soothing contact as the woman kept caressing his face. So as time went on, Mizuki fell in love with the woman that kept tending to his needs. He even told her what happened and she told him she didn't care as she cared for him. Mizuki was touched. Although he had a girlfriend, he knew he had to leave her to be with the goddess before him. Her name was Kira and she was his savior. When he confessed to her, she suddenly cried as she hugged, screaming that even though she wants to be with him she can't. He asked her why and she said that she was with someone else. Mizuki's eyes went wide and then told her to leave him and that he will protect her. Kira flinched in his arms as she then said that she can't because she was scared. He asked her why she was scared and she said exactly this: I can't leave him, he is the Kyuubi. I didn't know at first, I thought he was a nice guy, but he enslaved me, saying that he will kill me if I leave him. As she then left his embrace, as her red kimono showed a bit of her skin, making Mizuki blush, but then he saw little scratch marks on her chocolate skin. Mizuki saw red as he saw scars. How dare that demon threaten and hurt his goddess? He should have killed him when he had the chance. Mizuki was about to go but was stopped by Kira as she asked what he was going to do. He told her he was going to kill the demon brat. So she then came up to him as all of a sudden she kissed him on the cheek. Mizuki looked ready to faint as he wanted to kiss Kira on her lips when he was suddenly stopped by her finger, silencing him. My love, when you kill him we shall live together forever. Mizuki nodded furiously as he looked determined. Kira then went to a cupboard and brought out a red pill and gave it to him. Mizuki asked what it was when she told him it was a weapon that will give him the power to defeat the Kyuubi and that she and him can beat him together. So Kira told him where Naruto was. As Mizuki nodded his thanks while he took the pills, he hugged her and ran to the Hokage tower, leaving a smirking Kira behind. End of the mini flashback. Mizuki looked at the copy ninja flying right at him as he realized on what she meant when she said that he served his purpose. He was used. It was all a plan by that woman as she didn't love him. It was all the demon brat's fault. Tears enveloped Mizuki's eyes as he screamed to the sky, "Damn you, Naruto." Chidori, Mizuki's flesh was pierced by Kakashi as he coughed blood and fell towards the ground when Kakashi pulled his hands out of him. Why him, my love, thought Mizuki as he fell off the ground dead. The Junins, Yugao and the Hokage came to Kakashi surrounding the bloodied body of Mizuki. How was he that strong? Said Yugao quietly. Sarutobi sighed, responding, I don't know Yugao, but we must investigate his body. He then gestured the everyone to go and rest for the night as they then dispersed. At Naruto's apartment. In the operating room, Kasara can be seen as she was holding something. It was a pill. The same red pill Mizuki was giving. It would seem the tool is his uses, smirked the Kyuubi no Kitsune as she suddenly scowled as she wanted to puke. Ape thought I loved him. A door can be heard closing upstairs. Kasara suddenly blushed. Her husband was home. She quickly teleported to the living room and sat on the couch and randomly flicked through a shopping magazine. I'm home, said Naruto quietly as he entered the living room. Kasara looked up at her husband, smiling as she welcomed him. Naruto then suddenly sat next to her as he sighed. Kasara, said Naruto quietly. Kasara looked at Naruto with eyebrow raised. Yes, Naruto-kun. Naruto suddenly soothingly touched her right knee as he caressed it. Kasara inwardly blushed as she looked at him. He was a human ape, no different than the rest of his species, and yet he made her feel like she can take on the world. Well, she can take on the world, you know what she means. Kasara, I'm new at this marriage thing. So please bear with me, okay? I never had this kind of thing before, said Naruto, who looked sad. Kasara put the magazine down as she stroked his hair soothingly, even though she doesn't know why she does this to him. You sure are something else, Naruto-kun. You have something women find addicting, and I don't know what, thought Kasara. Naruto-kun, you are doing fine. If you were bad you would have been punished. My dear vessel, giggled Kasara at Naruto, who started to sweat. Naruto sighed as he then picked up the magazine Kasara was holding as he looked at it. It was on page where there was lots of different type of wedding rings. Naruto looked at her as he smiled a kind smile, making Kasara blush at his smile. I may not afford this, but I will do my best to make this marriage work. Kasara was confused when Naruto then gave her the magazine she had and her eyes went wide. Naruto, are you really intending to buy a ring, for me? The boy nodded, well yeah, we are married, and I know I am rushing it but it's only right. Kasara was awestruck as she just looked at him. Here was man that was clearly upset on what happened to him but still wanted to move on with his life, he even wanted to make it official. Kasara was touched very deeply as no one ever said this to her, Naruto. Ding dong, the doorbell rang interrupting their heartfelt discussion. Well for Kasara anyway, but Naruto, being Naruto who is very oblivious to what was going on, believed it was right thing to do but he didn't know the effect it has caused. I get it, you just stay right here, said Naruto, who sighed thinking who would be here at this hour, as he then left to get the door, leaving the Kyuubi no Kitsune to her thoughts. Naruto, I can't believe you said that. Kasara suddenly blushed as she realized what she got into. She took a stab in the dark and got the perfect guy. Naruto-kun. As Naruto gently opened, who could it possibly be? The sight that greeted him on the opposite end was another red-eyed female. It was the genjutsu specialist of Konoha. Kurenai-sensei, what are you doing here? Naruto was confused. He did request a meeting with her but it was on a later date. Naruto-kun, I just want to say that I'm sorry that I made you angry. Kurenai, not knowing why she was saying that, as all she knew was that it was the right thing to say him. Naruto smiled at her, making her blush. Kurenai-sensei, it's alright. I was angry at the situation, not at you, as Naruto then touched her shoulder to show his appreciation. Kurenai blushed at how close they were. She only just met Naruto today and yet here she was. She didn't know why she was here talking to him, a guy, and yet here she was. She just didn't want Naruto-kun to be mad at her. Wait, kun. Kurenai didn't know when she started adding suffix to his name, as she never said it to a guy before. She then felt another hand grab her shoulders, making her blush even more. Kurenai, are you alright? Your face is red, said Naruto obliviously. Kurenai regrettably went out of his embrace as she shook out of her thoughts. Naruto-kun, now that we are friends again, can we start your training tomorrow? Naruto smiled as he nodded, sure, I can meet you before I meet Kiba. Kurenai nodded as she smiled, as this time she grabbed Naruto's hands. This brought Naruto's attention. Naruto, if you want to ever meet up or do something, don't hesitate to call me, okay? Me, Enko and everyone else will be there for you. She didn't know why she added Enko and everyone else part, as something deep inside her regretted saying that. Naruto held her hand tight, making the Junin blush furiously. Thanks Kurenai-sensei, that means a lot. Kurenai blushed as then let go of Naruto as she went back outside. Naruto walked outside with her as he said, take care Kurenai, it's dangerous out, you sure you don't want any help? Kurenai blushed at his generosity as she smiled. No Naruto-kun, it's alright, see you tomorrow. Naruto nodded as she then bid her farewell and shunshined home. While all of this was going on, there was someone watching from the window. This woman did not look pleased, no, she looked downright pissed as her eyes glowed in terror. Kun. It would seem that she likes Naruto-kun, said Kasara as she then thought of Naruto suddenly leaving her for Kurenai, making her chuckle evilly. Kuku, my dear Naru-kun, we are betrothed till death till us part, said Kasara as she then spoke demonically. I will destroy anyone who tries to put an end to our union. At the Hokage's office, Sarutobi can be seen talking to someone. It was a person who was wearing a black bandana. It was Morino Ibiki, the head interrogator. Ibiki-kun, tell me your verdict, said Sarutobi to his specialist regarding about Naruto. Ibiki was watching the entire conversation as he was hidden from Naruto. Hokage-sama. He was telling the truth. Sarutobi sighed as he felt relieved, but Ibiki carried on. But I don't believe him. Sarutobi narrowed his eyes at Ibiki and asked for his reason. It's just, sir, that the way he lived his life. I would expect he would know how to lie, sir. Sarutobi nodded, accepting the man's answer as it made sense. Naruto's life was an enigma thanks to those blasted council. A problem he promised he will end soon and also find out more about him. You're dismissed, Ibiki. Ibiki nodded and then shunshined. Leaving the old Hokage alone as he looked at his window, having the whole village its view, he was left to his thoughts. Minato, Kushina, I will do all I can for your son. This time I won't fail. Poor Naruto, he better watch out now because he will be in one hell of a ride. Author rant. How come there isn't enough Naru-fem-q and lots Naru-sasu? I just don't get it because Naru-fem-q are fun to write. Chapter 3. A tiring day brings a new tomorrow. Here is Chapter 3 guys. Firstly, a friend of mine asked me what's with my username. He said, do you hate Heroes the show or heroes in general? I just told him I hate both. Seriously, it's true. Sorry, ranting nonsense stuff. So here is the chapter. Italics means the person is thinking. Bold italics is the music lyrics. Bold is a demon or god talking. Enjoy. Underscore. A tiring day brings a new tomorrow. I've become so numb I can't feel you there. Become so tired, so much more aware. I'm becoming this. All I want to do is be more like me and be less like you. The song rang throughout Naruto's headphones while he ran laps as the morning sun was rising. Naruto ran towards his apartment complex to change back from his usual attire, as he was now wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt with gray trousers, wearing black trainers. From his apartment, a crimson-haired figure can be seen looking at Naruto. Naruto, muttered Kasara softly, leaning on the window. What has been said and done last night was on her mind for some reason. She even refused to talk to Naruto while they slept, as she gave him the cold shoulder, much to his confusion. Footsteps can be heard as Kasara quickly went back to bed and turned around. Naruto came in the room as he looked at Kasara, who he thought was asleep. So he quietly took his clothes and left. When the door was shut, Kasara can be seen with a grim expression. Voices rang through inside her head. Naruto, if you want to ever meet up or do something, don't hesitate to call me, okay? I will be there for you. Thanks, Kurenai-sensei, that means a lot. Kurenai, muttered Kasara as she then smiled. All is fair in love and war, as then suddenly her chest started to glow red. Her bonding mark with Naruto glowed furiously, like it agreed with her. She wasn't going to lose Naruto without a fight. A fight she intended to win. Underscore. It was another D-ranked meeting, but this time Kakashi made the team work through multiple missions, as he quoted, "We team need to have some teamwork," while he read his orange book, giggling away as Team 7 were now tending some dogs. You mean the three of us," muttered Naruto, feeding puppies. You say something, Naruto?" Kakashi looked up from his book, making Naruto's eyes wide. "Nothing, what a nice mission, hey," chuckled Naruto dryly. "Shut up, Naruto baka, you're annoying," said Sakura, irritated as she was washing a huge dog. "HRN," grunted Sasuke as he was combing a poodle. Naruto sighed as he looked at Sakura in disappointment. He didn't know why she hated him. He had a crush on her once and she told him he was annoying. He just couldn't understand girls, all they did was hit him, they are so troublesome. "Well done team, we did a total of 6 D-rank missions," said Kakashi, looking proud. "Hooray," said Naruto sarcastically as he raised his hands up, making Kakashi twitch comically. "Baka, stop being a fool," said Sakura as she hit Naruto, making him fall in the ground. Kakashi sighed at the usual occurrence between the two. He looked at Sasuke as he was looking at Naruto suspiciously. Kakashi sighed again. Ever since the team was formed, Sasuke had a self-proclaimed rivalry with Naruto, trying to fight him every chance he got. With Sakura cheering him on increased the Uchiha's ego even more. He needed to talk with Sasuke as he couldn't teach him if he was like this. "Obito, your last memory is a bit Kakashi sighed again, wishing why he took this group. Sasuke's pink-haired teammate, well, she is a fangirl enough, said. Finally, the final member of Team 7, Uzumaki Naruto. Just by saying his name will give him a headache. The boy that his sensei made a jinchurikis of was a bit of a handful. Scratch that, he was more than a handful. He was 16 years old, a boy who is considered to be a failure, and from what he just found out was being held back. It didn't come to surprise to Kakashi because the whole village hated him. Heck, no one would have cared if he died. He too was like the villagers, as he didn't even care as well, but now he knows better. "Sensei, I would take care of your legacy. You're dismissed, meet me here tomorrow at 8 inches as Kakashi then poofed. He needed a drink. HRN. Grunted Sasuke as he looked at Naruto, seizing him up as he then walked away. Sasuke-kun, wait. Sakura as usual ran after him. Can he speak at least a line, for crying out loud, muttered Naruto as he sighed at Sasuke. Well, time to meet up with Kurenai-sensei. Naruto got up and ran to the Team 8 training ground. Konoha Market. Sakura sighed as she was rejected by Sasuke again as she thought on what happened. She remembered when she had caught up to Sasuke. Please wait, Sasuke-kun. she begged as she nearly fell to her knees in front of the brooder. Sasuke just stood on as he looked in concentration. He was thinking about Naruto and the strength he has shown. First there was the incident with Kakashi, the way the Dobi acted it was like he was holding back. Sasuke's eyes narrowed, and secondly there was the team training exercise. The Dobi managed to fight against a Junin on even ground. What are you hiding, Naruto? He needed to meet with Naruto. Sakura, muttered Sasuke, making the girl look at him straightway. What do you think of Naruto? Sakura's eyes went wide as she was in a dilemma. Why did he Sasuke-kun ask about Naruto Baka, and why did he care what she thought about him? Her eyes went wide. He thought she liked Naruto Baka. Think about it. The Baka had a crush on her for years and she bets $1,000,000 he still likes her now, and Sasuke-kun was jealous because she was spending her time on him instead of Sasuke-kun. She decided to tell him what she thought. I like you, Sasuke-kun. Well, that Baka is a lowlife that always fights you and is always messing things up and causing trouble. Sakura smiled, misinterpreting his words. He has no regard for anything but himself. She paused as she shrugged callously. You know why he's always causing trouble? It's because he wasn't raised right. He does things that pops into his head because he doesn't know what it's like to be punished on a personal level. It's all because he doesn't have parents, she said smugly. Sasuke's eye widened slightly. You think that he is? He started to say, as the Uchiha eyes narrowed at the pink-haired girl. The girl nodded with her eyes closed, not knowing the implications of her words. The wind was blowing, making the atmosphere tenser. The pink-haired girl carried on. Think about it. He doesn't have anyone to answer to, never has, which is why he's become so selfish. If I tried to do half the things he does, my parents would ground me for life. Without parents, it's the only possible outcome that one becomes a complete delinquent. She finished with confidence. Alone. Sasuke muttered, recalling what he has been through. What? Sakura blinked, and cringed slightly when Sasuke seemed to stare right through her, or past her. Being scolded by parents is nothing. You can't possibly compare it. Even Naruto knows what can't be escaped in this world. Emptiness. Isolation. He was speaking quietly, almost to himself. What are you saying, Sasuke-kun? Sakura blinked with slight fear at the sudden change in Sasuke's attitude. He blinked as he seemed to refocus on Sakura. You think little of Naruto as you consider him to be worthless. And yet he did better than you in every aspect, as it was you on the stump in the belt test rather Naruto. That would make you worthless. You annoy me, Sasuke muttered icily as he walked off. Sakura stood motionless in the hallway, stunned, shocked, wide-eyed and trembling. No. It can't be. Sasuke-kun thinks that I'm. She slowly sank to her knees as the terrible feeling crushed down on her. It hurts. She clutched her hands to her chest. Ino's insults never hurt like this. Why is it so different, hearing it from? Sakura looked down at her hands. Is it because I like Sasuke-kun? She now knew what Naruto felt like. Is this how Naruto feels, whenever I? She shook her head in denial. No, this is Naruto's fault. He did this by being better than Sasuke-kun in the academy, trying to impress me. Sakura got to her feet and looked determined. Well, I'll show him. I won't let him mess up for me anymore. She kept walking to somewhere. Destination to find Naruto. When Naruto came to the training ground, he saw Kurenai alone waiting for him. He smirked as he decided to sneak up on her. Kurenai stood there waiting for Naruto as her team finished 15 minutes ago. Is he going to come? These were the thoughts that ran in Kurenai's mind as she was becoming more frantic, believing what she thought was true. Suddenly 2 arms grabbed her shoulders. Hey Kurenai-sensei, screamed a voice, scaring her as she screamed in shock, quickly turning around as she then fell on Naruto. Whoa. Both of them fell on the ground with Kurenai on top of him, which made her blush. Naruto looked red as he was feeling Kurenai's body, and it was surprisingly nice. Naruto shook his head to get rid of such thoughts as he then looked up at Kurenai. Kurenai also looked up at Naruto. Their eyes met as their faces were so close to each other. They blushed as they quickly let go of each other. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have scared you like that. Kurenai quickly put her hands up, interrupting Naruto. No number, it's all right, let's just start with your training. Naruto smiled at her kindly as he then stood, giving her a hand, by which she gladly obliged. Yosh, let's begin, smiled Naruto, who became determined as Kurenai nodded. Kurenai then got out a series of scrolls and threw at the floor. Naruto looked at it and then at her with his eyebrow raised. These are your homework, Naruto-kun, giggled Kurenai at Naruto, who started to sweat at the word homework. Now today's lesson is chakra control. First I need you to walk on trees. Kurenai expected Naruto to be shocked, but he just laughed. I already know that method. Kurenai's eyes went wide. You know it? Where did you learn it? Naruto then looked at the sky, remembering the day he learned it. Well, it all happened 2 years ago when I met a group, a very strange group I might add. Flashback 2 years ago. Naruto was walking with his hands on his pockets as he looked pissed because he got kicked out of the academy for the day for beating up a snot-nosed kid. My dad's on the civilian council, you can't touch me, muttered Naruto mockingly as he then smirked. He showed him, hey, try getting your dad to get you out of that. Naruto, once he was done with the kid, his head was buried on the ground, not knowing it took an earth technique to get him out in 3 chunins. When he was walking past a training ground, a shortcut he found to get home, he saw 2 spandex guys. One was a mini version of the tall guy and 2 girls. Yosh, my youthful students, today you will learn how to climb trees, without our hands, said the tall Bruce Lee looking guy, the group who looked bemused. Hi Guy Sensei, said the mini-me cheerfully. But Guy Sensei, how do we do that, said a bun-haired. HRN, fate will tell us, said another girl who surprisingly sounded like a man. My youthful students, it is like this. Guy showed them how it was done, surprising the team and Naruto as he then told them the method. Yosh, Guy Sensei, I won't let you down, screamed the mini, eyes burning. I know, my youthful students, show them your youthfulness. Then right before Naruto's eyes he saw something that messed the poor guy's mind. It was worse than the dream lady he was facing. A sunset beach came all of a sudden, and then both clones ran at each other, arms wide with tears in their eyes. Lee, Guy Sensei. Lee, Guy Sensei. As they then hugged when a romantic music could be heard coming from nowhere. Naruto froze as he then ran for his life. Kasara, who was inside him, shivered, destroying the vile memory. End of flashback. Naruto shivered as the Kurenai hugged him tightly as she soothed his back caringly. There, it's over now, said Kurenai, feeling sorry for Naruto. They got over the dilemma as Kurenai asked her what else he learned, by which he replied that he kept going it with the tree exercise. He also told her that he tried to do what he did on the tree on water, surprising Kurenai. He thought of the water walking exercise by himself. That's impressive. Kurenai had to wonder how held back he was in the academy. Okay Naruto, do you know the leaf balancing exercise? Naruto shook his head as then Kurenai proceeded to tell him that his chakra is so big that he had to constantly train his control. This exercise is one of the prime exercises of mastering genjutsu. She looked at Naruto, who looked very serious at her, which actually made her feel good as she felt she was making a difference. Well, this exercise is actually to hone the individual's concentration and to keep their mind from becoming distracted. Naruto nodded as Kurenai gave him a leaf. Now let's get started. 1 hour went past as Naruto looked to be in deep concentration as he kept getting distracted. Kurenai looked on as she thought, to think he is getting the hang of it this quickly, even though his chakra is very massive. She looked at Naruto as he managed to beat his record time, who then celebrated. Kurenai smiled. He is a prodigy and this village doesn't even know it. Naruto looked at Kurenai as he suddenly ran to her. Kurenai looked confused as to why he stopped. Kurenai sensei, can we meet next time? I'm late to meet Kiba. Kurenai eyes went wide. She totally forgot about his meeting with Kiba. Alright Naruto-kun, see me tomorrow and we will carry on where we left off. Naruto nodded, but before he left he suddenly hugged her, shocking the red-eyed Kunoichi greatly. Kurenai blushed at Naruto's tight embrace as he then let go of her, much to her dismay. He turned around as he was about to go, but before saying something, thanks sensei for spending your time with me, next time I treat you to ramen. Naruto turned around and gave her the fullest smile he could muster. Kurenai looked ready to melt there and then. As then Naruto ran off to meet Kiba, leaving the red-eyed woman alone. Kurenai grabbed hold of herself, trying to regain her bearings as she blushed. Naruto-kun. At the Hokage Tower, a council meeting was currently present to discuss about the incident that occurred yesterday. Well, they were just screaming at each other, the civilian council being the most vocal. The clan heads was just quiet as they were just processing to what was reported to them. Sarutobi gritted his teeth. damn you Mizuki. Hokage-sama, why are you letting the brat get away with this, said a fat merchant whose name is Hiko as he owns a lot of business in Konoha. Damn bastard was responsible for Naruto not having food to eat, thought Sarutobi. And do tell to what Naruto has done, sighed Shikaku who clearly didn't want to be here. Mizuki was angry at the brat, it's his entire fault, screamed a banshee voice of Haruno Sakuya, mother of Haruno Sakura. Everyone winced at the voice except Danzo and the two advisors who remained stoic. Haruno-san, may I remind you that Naruto didn't do any crimes, thus I cannot be punished, sighed Sarutobi at the civilians' ignorance. The civilians roared in anger at the situation they were in because the brat couldn't be touched. As they say, no crime no time. Shut up, screamed Sume, the pup did nothing wrong, so shut up, you're like a pack of wild dogs. I agree with Hokage-sama, Naruto won't be punished if he didn't do nothing wrong, said Inochi. I agree, it's all Mizuki's fault. Anyway, if that is all, why is the council gathered, said Choza as this was agreed with Shikaku and Sarutobi at how pointless this meeting is. Hokage-sama, Mizuki done such damage, did you find out how he did such thing, said Hiyashi calmly. No, Enko and Ibiki are investigating his body as we speak. Kaharu looked on. Did Inochi check his mind? Inochi shook his head. I already did, it is wiped clean like someone knew I was coming. Do you know who? Said Homura looking at Inochi who shook his head indicating that he doesn't know. Talking about Mizuki, any reasons why he was after Naruto, said Danzo calmly. Sarutobi looked at his rival as he knew the man was up to something. The civilians' council screamed saying he is a punk who deserves what he gets. Uzumaki Naruto. Anyone know what he done before he came to academy, said Kaharu as she wanted to know what the brat was doing. It was like he disappeared into thin air. Yes, it is most prudent to know what our Jinchurikis was doing, said Homura. Funny really is you care now, what happens in the future will be on your heads. Sarutobi looked sad as he knew he disappointed Naruto's parents and Naruto himself. It felt much worse than his disappointment of his runaway student. I do not know, but he's here now, that's all that matters. Danzo looked at his rival at how he dismissed the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Unlike his rival, Danzo searched for the boy as he couldn't miss the opportunity to take his weapon. However, the thing was that the boy knew how to hide, so he gathered information. Throughout the years of research he found out that there was a high influx of yakuzas coming into Konoha selling wide ranges of drugs. Although most of them were arrested and put into prison, but yet the drugs continued. It frustrated Konoha as they didn't want to be like Iwa. The civilians were screaming as Danzo decided to shut them up. Why do you worry about the boy? You should worry about your incompetence, as it was your fault for leaving him to his devices. Who knows what he has done? The civilians roared, screaming in anger. All we have to do is get Ibiki on him and see what happens, said Sakuya who grinned seeing liking the brat getting interrogated. Sarutobi sighed. I already done that and yet no information was provided that threatened Konoha. It was Kohuru and Homura who pestered their teammate about why didn't they know about this. Sarutobi sighed. It was going to be a long day. Where is the baka? Screamed Sakura as she went to the ramen stand to look for the blonde idiot, and he wasn't there. All she got was a glare from the owner and his daughter. TCH, the baka is not eating ramen, so where is he? Thought Sakura. Sakura, said a voice as Sakura turned around. Ino. At the Yamanaka flower shop. So you can't find Naruto, sighed Ino as Sakura nodded. Yeah, he ruined me and Sasuke-kun. Ino sighed. What he do this time? Sakura decided to tell her what happened. Ino was twitching at the ridiculous story she ever heard. Frankly, Naruto never done nothing to her and she was screaming like he committed mass murder. Well, Sakura, if Sasuke-kun doesn't like you then he just wants someone better, said Ino as she smirked at her rival who started to fume. What Ino pig, Sasuke-kun will never want you. Ino sighed, not wanting to yell today. Think about it, Sakura, every time you hit him he doesn't hit you back and he is the tornado. Maybe he still likes you. That's all I'm saying. Well, he knows I will never like him, so he should just go away. Besides, my parents hate him, said Sakura, making Ino nod as it was no surprise that Haruno Sakuya hated Naruto. Sakura got up. Well, Ino, I'm going to go home. I will find the baka tomorrow and sort him out then. Then the pink-haired girl left. Ino sighed as she shook her head. How delusional can you get, Sakura? At Naruto's apartment. As the sun was setting, a lavender-haired girl can be seen at Naruto's front door. She looked to be shaken in fear as she tried to knock but failed to even touch the front door. "Come on Hinata, you can do this." The lavender-haired girl was Hinata's. This was her second time coming to Naruto's apartment, each time running away. She took a breath of courage as she knocked on Naruto's door. She flinched as she closed her eyes. Nothing happened. So she opened her eyes and knocked again, happy that she overcame her fears. "What are you doing?" said a voice. Hinata looked at the person who was carrying groceries and suddenly shrieked as she then ran off. Kasara smirked, "Funny little girl," as she then went inside Naruto's apartment. Unknowingly Hinata was still there as she looked to be broken. What's a woman doing in Naruto-kun's house? Hinata looked to be in tears as she ran off. At the window Kasara can be seen smirking as she shook her head. Ding dong, Naruto ringed the gate of the huge compound as he was surprised. Kiba picked up the doorbell as he asked who it was. "It's Naruto, sorry I'm late." Kiba sounded happy as he gestured Naruto to come in. Naruto went inside the gate as he came inside the compound. He came to the front door as he knocked again. Kiba answered the door. "Hey man, come in." Naruto came in as he then took off his shoes because Kiba asked him to. Naruto raised his eyebrows. "Weren't we going to train today, Kiba?" Kiba laughed. "Nah, we should do that another time, and besides you look tired." He was right because Kurenai's training and Kakashi's mission took a lot out of him. "Then I should go." Naruto was about to go but Kiba insisted he should stay and chill. "Hey man, you stink, have a shower." "No one is here today, my sis is at her vet. Mom's out and Akamaru is out playing." Naruto nodded as he planned to have a shower anyway and asked if he was allowed. "Man, can't believe you act like this, Tornado, you're different to what people described you as," laughed Kiba as Naruto twitched comically. Kiba then went inside a room and asked Naruto that he likes music, by which Naruto responded that any was fine, so the dog boy turned on the music as he sang along. He's a stranger to some and a vision to none. He can never get enough of the one. For a fortune, he'd quit, but it's hard to admit. How it ends and begins on his face is a map of the world. A map of the world. On his face is a map of the world. A map of the world. Hey Kiba, never knew you liked 30 Seconds to Mars, said Naruto, who smirked. "What, you like it too?" Naruto nodded at the Inuzuka as he pumped his fist in the air. "We should totally swap music." Naruto smiled and nodded in agreement, wanting to see what kind of songs Kiba liked. Kiba then went into his room and then threw a towel at him. "Go have a shower, this bit is my favorite part." As then Kiba turned the music up, then he sang. "From yesterday, it's coming. From yesterday, the fear. From yesterday, it calls him. But he doesn't wanna read the message here." Naruto just shook his head and ignored the boy as he went upstairs. He came up to the bathroom door as he then went inside, not knowing that there was a towel and someone was already showering thanks to the loud music. Naruto got undressed as he threw his clothes on an empty box while he held his towel, not noticing someone already got out of the shower. The person was Inuzuka Hana as she was drying her hair. She was from head to toe when she heard the loud music beating downstairs. She gritted her teeth. Damn Kiba and his music. Naruto tensed as he froze at her voice. So when Hana turned around, she saw a man. A very developed man, she might add. But a man nonetheless, who had his back turned one thing as he was. So she did what any girl would do when she saw a pervert, she screamed. Arg! At her shock she lost her footing as she slipped. Her head was aiming towards the side of the bath as it could cause a fatal concussion, but someone grabbed her. It was the blonde man. She quickly was pulled onto his embrace as they both felt their skin. Hana blushed furiously as she never felt a man's skin before, her feeling his chest. He is so strong. Hana blushed at the cliché line. Naruto, however, was scared as hell. Damn, I'm dead. Dead. Naruto prayed that his tool won't grow. Come on Frankie, don't wake up now. Naruto gulped, trying to plead his case. It's not what you think, I can explain. He seriously felt like one of those guys in soap operas when they are exposed. It's that, well, Hana interrupted him. I understand. Her hot breath tickled Naruto's skin as he blushed. You do, said Naruto hopefully. I don't, frankly. Naruto's sweat dropped as he gulped. But you saved my life, so I will let you explain. Naruto unconsciously held her tight, making Hana red all over. Thanks, well, this is what happened. So Naruto told Hana everything while she listened intently. Well, not intently, as she was feeling very comfortable. I believe you. Naruto felt relieved at her understanding. Suddenly the door was knocked on, making both of them tense. Hey man, you finished in there? Naruto looked at Hana as she nodded at him. Yeah, thanks for letting me use your shower. It's alright man, come downstairs yeah. Okay. Then Kiba left as his footsteps faded. Both Hana and Naruto sighed in relief as they looked at each other, then laughed, destroying their tension. Hana then smiled a kind smile by which Naruto noticed as he smiled back, then all of a sudden his world turned black. He was knocked out by Hana. She smiled at the knocked out figure of Naruto, the towel covering his acid. In the end I'm a woman, you don't cup a feel and get a free show without a date first, then took her clothes and walked out. Kiba eating while he sat watching TV, he looked at Naruto who had a black eye. What happened to you? I fell hey, chuckled Naruto scratching the back of his hair. Kiba just swear dropped but ignored him as he watched the TV. You got a lot of channels, said Naruto, making Kiba surprised. You don't have that much channels. Naruto shook his head. Now all I have is the news and sports. If I wanted to watch movies I rent. Smart move, said a voice familiar to Naruto, who started to sweat. Kiba looked at his sister who was leaning on the wall behind them. Thought you won't be back till later. Naruto froze as he felt Hana look at him, decided to come early. Naruto, do you want to eat? Asked Hana. No, screamed Naruto, shocking Kiba and making Hana smirk. I mean no, Kiba's sister. Hana giggled, making Naruto flinch. Naruto-kun, call me Hana. Naruto gulped. Kiba was confused. Hana grinned. Then the door can be heard closing as the final member of the family came in. Mum, you're home, said Hana to her mother, who came to the living room. Soon came home tired as she brought some groceries and put it in the table. Hey Hana, take these to the kitchen. Hana nodded before giving one final look at Naruto. Soon following her direction saw Kiba and Naruto. Wait, Uzumaki. Naruto. Hey brat, not saying hi to your mum, smirked Sum at the muttering Kiba. Hey, your mum is calling you, nudged Naruto, making Kiba sulk even more before he was in a chokehold by his mum. You still angry, Kiba my pup, smirked Sum as Kiba's muffling voice can be heard. Let him go mum, you're embarrassing him at front of his friend, said Hana as Sum let go of Kiba, who gasped for air. Sum lazily sat down next to Naruto. So you're the man my son is scared of? Naruto looked at her as his eyes narrowed. I apologized to what I did, didn't I? Sum nodded. Yeah, I know you look like the type that doesn't apologize again. Mum, it's cool. Naruto's cool, said Kiba at his mum, who is having a staring contest with the blonde-haired delinquent. It's all right, Kiba, she is just being a mother. Naruto looked at Sum intently as she then smirked, suddenly laughing. I like you, you have spunk, who then started to pat Naruto's back hard. Naruto-kun, why don't you stay for dinner? Said Hana. When she said this, Sum had a twinkle in her eye. Kun, making Hana shiver. Yeah Naruto, I could show you my room. Naruto looked at Kiba when then Sum touched his shoulder. Naruto, you don't want to decline Hana-chan's offer, don't you? This made Hana blush at what her mum was trying to do. Naruto sighed as he looked at the time, which was 9 o'clock. I'm sorry. I can't, maybe another time. Everyone looked disappointed as Kiba whined. Well, I can't persuade you to stay, but you're welcome to come here anytime, Naruto, sighed Sum. Naruto nodded as he then got up. Well, thanks. He then walked to Kiba and nudged his shoulder as Kiba nodded at him. Naruto then walked to the door, clearly ignoring Hana's presence, making her smirk. When he got to the door, he put on his shoes when heard Sum. Naruto, you want someone to come with you? Naruto looked up at her as he finished putting on his sandals. It's alright, but thanks for the offer. He then said his goodbyes to the family that was gathered in the hallway, then left. Leaving the family alone, Kiba suddenly yawned. Going to bed, got training tomorrow, good night mum. Hana, leaving the two females alone as he went upstairs. Hana looked at where Naruto was a second ago, lost in space. Sum put her hand on her daughter's shoulder, making her flinch. Sum put her face close to her daughter's ear. Naruto-kun, huh? Hana blushed, remembering Naruto's visage froze, and then suddenly got out of her mother's grasp and walked very quickly to Sum to her room. Sum smirked as she giggled. It would seem the boy got to my daughter. Maybe by getting these two together might be good for them, right Kushina, thought Sum as she suddenly frowned. What kind of friend was she, leaving the only son of her best friend alone like that and not care? Sum clenched her fist as she gritted her teeth. And we Inuzukas are considered to be loyal to those we care about. No more will she ever turn her back again. Ever. Underscore. At the Hyuga compound, Hanabi looked at the closed door in front of her as she raised her eyebrow. Hanabi-sama, Hinata was in there for a while now. Do you know what has happened? Said a Hyuga branch servant. Hanabi huffed. Like I care about her. Is then the little girl left. Inside Hinata's room, Hinata can be seen on her bed crying as she was holding a golden fox stuffed doll. What are you doing? Said a voice of a crimson-haired beautiful woman. Hinata stopped crying as the woman's voice was ringing in her head. What's she doing in Naruto-kun's house with food? Hinata knew what was going on but refused to admit it. I need to speak with Naruto-kun about it. Hinata sighed as she suddenly felt relieved, and besides she is too old for him. I don't think Naruto-kun likes older women. Hinata smiled as her doubt for Naruto-kun's love never wavered. Her eyes narrowed suddenly as she needed to go see Naruto-kun and if she can see that crimson-haired woman. Underscore. At Naruto's apartment, Kakashi knocked on Naruto's door as he has been doing that for a while. He decided that his student wasn't in. What is he doing out in this kind of hour? Frowning at how his sensei's legacy became. Sensei, you would be disappointed, muttered Kakashi. He was about to leave via Shunshin before he heard someone walk up the stairs. He turned around thinking it was Naruto and suddenly his eyes went wide when he met Crimson Eyes. The boy is not in, I see, sighed the woman. Kakashi nodded. Do you know Naruto? The woman nodded. Yes, we are lovers. Kakashi blushed red, making the woman giggle. Just kidding, hey, you should see your face. Kakashi sighed as he chuckled with her. Yeah, that was funny. I don't see someone like you being with someone like Naruto. The woman inwardly scowled as she froze. Kakashi looked at her. Something I said. They don't acknowledge him to be in a relationship, thought Kyuubi as suddenly she felt like cutting the man into pieces. She smirked. Yeah, you're right. But I'm his neighbor. How do you know Naruto? As by talking about Naruto like that made her mouth dry. I'm his sensei. Kasara raised her eyebrows. You're his sensei, making Kakashi sigh. Well, he is not, and so I see him tomorrow. Wait, Kakashi looked at Kasara. Naruto will come later, but in the meantime tell me more about him. Kakashi's eyes narrowed. It's just that he never once told me about you and I knew him for a while. Kakashi's eyes went wide. His student never told her about him. He intended to correct that. Well, instead of talking here, why don't I take you out for a drink? While he was at it, Kakashi thought he might as well take a shot at her. Kasara inwardly smirked as she nodded, smiling gently. If I play this right, me and Naruto-kun will see a lot of each other. Kakashi blushed under his mask, thanking his mask for not showing his feelings to the crimson-haired woman. Her hair is crimson just like her eyes. I never seen someone like that. His Kurenai's eyes were red, not crimson like that woman. Sure, why not? Hitaki Kakashi. Kakashi interjected as Kasara introduced herself, Yagashi Kira. Thus they both went together. Underscore. At the dango shop, the Junins were all sitting at the table as they were waiting for the final member to arrive. Not surprising, he is always late, sighed Asuma as he desperately wanted to smoke, but this damn shop didn't let him. He looked at Kurenai and inwardly blushed. He had a crush on her, but lately she was hard to talk to than ever before. Did she meet a guy? Asuma's eyes went wide but shook his head. No, that can't be right. If she liked a guy, the first would have known. Kurenai just looked to be in thought as she just looked at Anko, who was eating her dango just as fast as Naruto finishes his ramen. She blushed. Next time I treat you to ramen. She shook her head, trying to get Naruto out of her mind. Why is she thinking about him like that? He never done anything to earn it. Well, he always smiles at me, showing me that he cares, and he does show me that he cares. Kurenai was lost in thought again as she decided next time she sees him she will end this feeling once and for all. Besides, Hinata likes him even though she never spoke to him, sighed Kurenai as she needed closure and fast. Kurenai-chan. Kurenai was pushed out of her thoughts. Yes, Anko. Anko sighed. What's with her lately? She was so easily distracted. She decided to investigate. Nothing, Kurenai. Kurenai raised her eyebrow at her friend. Sorry guys, was lost on the road of life, said Kakashi as Guy suddenly screamed. Yush, my rival, nice to see your youthfulness. Kakashi sighed as when he walked and a woman suddenly came walking beside him. Asuma and Guy became silent as Asuma's cigarette fell out of his mouth. Kakashi was with a woman, albeit a very beautiful woman. Asuma blushed while Guy screamed, Yush Kakashi, your youth brights like 1,000 suns. Who is he? Said Kasara to Kakashi, who sighed. A friend, a weird friend. Kasara nodded as she wanted to shut this monkey up. Kurenai and Anko looked to see what's up as they too suddenly was in shock. Kakashi was with a woman. She is beautiful, thought Kurenai as she and Anko went to the male's table. Kasara looked at the two women as her eyes narrowed at the crimson-eyed woman, Kurenai. Thought Kasara bitterly. Akira-san, you know the guys, these are Yuhi Kurenai and Mitarashi Anko. Said Kakashi, who then started introducing Kira. So you're Naruto's neighbor, said Anko. That's right, I'm very well acquainted to him, so I just want to meet you all, it's only right. Said Kasara, sultry at the word acquainted to no one's notice expect Kurenai, who looked on in suspicion while Anko nodded. Now why don't we order first, said Asuma, wanting to order as he gestured for the waiter to come. At Naruto's apartment. Naruto was tired as he was yawning, he desperately wanted to go to sleep today. As he opened his fridge to drink some milk, since Kasara wasn't here he tried to be vulgar today as he drank from the carton. Ding dong, the doorbell rang. Must be Kasara, muttered Naruto as he yawned again. He went and opened the door as he suddenly smelled his favorite aroma. Ramen. Ayame-chan, greeted Naruto to a smiling Ayame who had ramen with her. Hey Naru-kun, sorry for coming at this hour, Naruto dismissed her. Nonsense, besides you're always welcome regardless the time, smiled Naruto at Ayame, who blushed. Naruto was always a gentleman to her. Ayame took off her shoes as Naruto closed the door behind her. The ramen can be seen on the table as in the living room. Naruto and Ayame sat closely together as Ayame shuffled into him, making the boy blush. It's Ayame-chan, get a grip Naruto, as since he met Kasara his luck in women soared through the roof. Both close friends were watching the film Gladiator. In the TV. It was in the Colosseum where the gladiator, the Spaniard, and his fellow gladiators survived another threat, this time in front of the emperor. The Emperor Commodus wanted to meet the Spaniard as he then went with his guards along with his nephew. The Spaniard looked ready to strike the Emperor as they came face to face. Would you remove your helmet and tell me your name? Asked Commodus a second time, this time not taking his first answer. My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, is the commander who everyone thought died was alive, father of a murdered son, husband of a murdered wife, and I will get my revenge at this life and the next. Commodus' eyes went wide as everyone gasped, so did Ayame. NTV. Naruto and Ayame finished the film as Ayame could be seen crying as she held Naruto. Heck, Naruto shed a tear as this movie would make a madman cry as well. Hey Ayame, let's go to the kitchen. Naruto looked at the time as it was 11 now. The teary girl nodded as she decided to give Naruto ramen. Naruto, it's been a while that we had time to ourselves, said Ayame, who finished cleaning the dishes as Naruto insisted that he would do it, but she stubbornly refused. She sat on top of the kitchen table next to Naruto, who sat on the stool. Yeah, we should change that. This made Ayame's eyes gleefully wide. You think so, Naruto-kun? Naruto nodded as he smiled. You were there for me and all I do is only see you when I'm eating ramen. This made Ayame suddenly hug Naruto as he felt his head against her slim belly as making him blush. Then Naruto felt tears fall on his hair. Ayame was crying, nah. Naruto, you're always like this and yet they call you different, it's so unfair. Naruto suddenly soothingly touched her sides as he attempted to comfort her, although he could feel her developed on top his head, making him blush slightly. He didn't know why he was in situations like this. While Naruto was doing comforting her, Ayame was blushing as the person she could very well say that she loves was here this close with her. Ayame then reluctantly let go of Naruto. Naruto-kun, how's the team treating you? Naruto looked at her and then decided to tell her everything that happened with Team 7 in the Hokage meeting. She deserves to know as well. She was Ayame. She and him were friends way back and it was only right to let her in on what happened so far in his life. Well, minus the part he was married. So Ayame, well, she was mad. Hell, she was fuming. How dare does the Hokage do this? If it was the Uchiha, the Hokage will let it slide, but since it was Naruto, he jumps and treats him like a criminal. Where was he when Naruto-kun needed him? Ayame could tell you he wasn't there for shit. Ayame suddenly cried again, making Naruto apologize. Don't apologize, Naru-kun. It should be them that should be apologizing. Naruto looked on as he didn't know what to say. What are you going to do, Naruto-kun? What if it happens again? Naruto sighed. I don't know, but I won't be discreet or anything. If people are going to be serious against me, then I won't hold back. Ayame smiled as she nodded. Naruto, "Kun, if you need anything to hesitate to come, okay." Naruto nodded, smiling as it was time for Ayame to go. She wanted to stay but her dad needed help to close shop. "Naruto-kun, from now on I will be your delivery woman." This made Naruto's eyes wide as he just stood there when the woman hugged him and left. This was a problem as Ayame was going to see Kasara if she really came to do deliveries. Naruto mentally prayed they would never meet. However, what Ayame said was true. If he kept showing his strength, although the techniques he showed were all he knew, the Hokage would interrogate him again. Naruto gritted his teeth. He had some thinking to do. So Kira-san, I'll see you tomorrow, said a drunken Anko as Kurenai nodded at the Kyuubi no Kitsune in disguise and took the drunken Anko back to their apartment complex. "See you later, Kira. It was fun seeing Anko lose at her own game," said Asuma, who tried his best to not blush and be a spluttering mess. "Yosh, Kira-san, your youth is spreaded to my heart," screamed Guy, who was screaming that he will run laps and whatnot, making both Kakashi and Kasara sigh as he too said his goodbyes. Kakashi, he turned around to Kira. "Ma, Kira, so you will come to Team 7 meeting and after that we take Naruto to some ramen." Kasara nodded. "Well Kira, I had a good time, see you tomorrow." Kakashi shunshined, leaving Kasara alone. "Well, now there is no need for me to be a stay-at-home wife anymore, Naru-kun," giggled Kasara as at the apartment Naruto shivered in his bed. Kasara came home seeing the lamp dimly on as Naruto looked to be in his bed in deep thought. He had his back turned from her. "How was your day, Kasara?" said Naruto as Kasara smiled at the familiarity as she was the one who always said that. "Oh, it was fun, Naru-kun," purred Kasara as she got into her nighties and tucked into her in her husband's bed. "Kasara, I was thinking, what's with the basement? It's not there anymore." Kasara eyes narrowed at Naruto's back. "Don't worry, Naruto. I will take care of it." Naruto, not knowing that Kasara changed the way she spoke his name meant something, said, "So what happened to Mizuki?" Kasara became silent. "Kasara-chan." Naruto turned around when Kasara muttered, "You don't trust me?" Naruto, not hearing her, asked what she said. Kasara snapped, "You don't trust me? You always question me. Aren't I your wife? Shouldn't that make you trust me?" Naruto eyes went wide as he stood there frozen. Kasara carried on, "Why, Naruto, don't you trust me?" Kasara was really hurt at this as suddenly Naruto hugged her, making Kasara move around the hug as she asked Naruto to get off her. Naruto held her tighter. "Kisa-chan," said woman's eyes went wide, "I'm just worried, it's this village. They always monitor me." So Naruto told her what happened at the Genin test from the Hokage Tower. This shocked Kasara as she knew something bad was going to happen. That's why she used Mizuki as a ploy to save Naruto-kun from trouble. She didn't know he was getting interrogated. She was mortified, thus this made her angry. "Kisa-chan, I made a mistake of letting my anger control me, thus led me to this situation. Frankly, the Mizuki incident helped me and all I'm asking is what happened to him." Kasara nodded. "All I did was heal him and then he just went to get you." Naruto nodded at her, although he felt that something was missing but didn't question her. "I trust you, Kasara. I always did. It's just that I won't be surprised if the council or the Hokage thinks I'm connected to Mizuki." Naruto then went to grab her cheeks, making her blush. "You are my wife. All I'm saying is that we have to monitor the movement of our relationship, as who knows what will happen if people find out." Kasara nodded as she saw what Kakashi felt of their relationship. She looked at Naruto's eyes as it glowed brighter in the light. "I don't see someone like you being with someone like Naruto. How dare they judge their relationship? Naruto, if you want to ever meet up or do something, don't hesitate to call me, okay? I will be there for you." How dare she try to take her man? "I trust you, Kasara, you are my wife." Kasara's eyes went wide. All of a sudden she pounced on Naruto, shocking him greatly. "Kisa, what wrong, MHP?" Naruto was silenced as Kasara suddenly kissed him as they carried on, both letting their instinct go wild. The tongues started to intertwine as Kasara started to suck on his tongue, making Naruto's eyes go wide as he felt good and got hard. Kasara felt it as she smirked. I'm glad you like it, Naruto-kun," giggled Kasara at Naruto, who blushed as she then took of her nighties, showing her visage. "Don't worry, you're not the only one who is feeling good." As she then took both Naruto's hands and let them touch her large, making Naruto blush harder. "See, my nipples are hard for you, baby. I never happened before." "So you had before," said Naruto as he ministered her. Kasara moaned as she then looked at him suddenly with red eyes glowing vigorously. No, I never touched, no man. Sorry I thought. Kasara suddenly jumped to on his lap wrapping her long legs around him. Her mounds on his face, it's okay Naruto-kun you are always forgiven. Naruto looked up at her as he smiled brightly he then bit her nipples making her moan louder, ah Naru-kun. Naruto started licking her, Kisa I trust you okay. Kasara was in euphoria as she just moaned. Naruto then pushed her gently back down the bed with Kasara's legs still wrapped around him. Naruto was hard and Kasara was wet. Naru-kun it's okay to go all the way you know. We both want this, said Kasara as Naruto suddenly caressed her face making her fluster as he smiled brightly at her. She didn't know what effect he had on her. It didn't matter all that matters was not allowing no woman to have this feeling without facing her first. Kasara. I can't. This made her eyes wide didn't her husband want her? Her doubts was destroyed when Naruto said, the day we do it will much better than this I somehow have a feeling. Kasara responded by giving him a deep kiss with Naruto this time giving it back as well making the emotional attachment to all-time high. Naru-kun, I will wait besides, Kasara kissed him again, together no one can beat us. Naruto smiled as he hugged her by which she welcomed it entirely. In the middle of the night Kasara can be seen as she had her head on Naruto's chest. Naruto slept very quickly as he was very tired. Even when you were tired you had time for me, muttered Kasara as she seen guys just go to sleep not tending to the needs of their wives because they were tired. Kasara was touched deeply. Naruto was different. I promise you Naruto-kun things will change, as Kasara thought about the internal war between Naruto and Konoha and she intended for Naruto to win. She would do all she can for him to win. Her eyes glowed in the dark. Konoha had just angered the Kyuubi no Kitsune and its attack part 2 will come again. But this time it will be different. Oh it will be different. Kasara's giggles can be heard in the night as Naruto lightly snored. You mess with the slave you hurt the queen.